Round 4 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship, and we're coming to you from Kansas City Speedway Tri-Oval Track, the Honey Bee 300, and what a fantastic race we've got lined up for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We can't wait to get into it. Matt Davis and JP joining you in the booth tonight with a special guest coming up as well, Billy Hickey from the Iridium Sim Sport team. You'll be able to catch a few words from him maybe throughout the race or even under yellow. And no doubt tonight there's going to be a few of them. Mark Johansson as well, ladies and gentlemen, joining us in the booth as always. We'll bring you in right now. Mark, good evening to you. And the Honeybee 300, a tri-oval track, the first of the tri-ovals for the year. And what are your thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, JP, Matt. I think it's going to be a tough little track, even though it's a mile and a half. Just been out there doing some laps. Track's starting to cool down a little bit. And down low, it's starting to get a bit slippery. So it's definitely a mid to high track run around here.
As the sun starts to go down, Mark, that would signify that the temperature in the track's going to start fading away rapidly as well. But what's that going to mean for the drivers tonight? I mean, we've got tyre strategy to play in, pit strategy, fuel, everything like that. What's that going to mean for not just yourself, but everyone else out there tonight?
Well, we've only got 5 sets of tyres, so this place seems to be okay on tyres. But in saying that too, if you get sideways or you lock a brake or anything, it's going to be a bit tough. Going to have to look after your tyres that little bit. Fuel-wise, not going to have an issue with fuel. Should see about 64 laps on a tank of fuel, so that's not going to be a real big issue tonight.
Well, we've got well planned 200 laps tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for 300 miles of racing, and for those Australian guys, 482 kilometres to be precise, or 482.8. JP, the man, the myth, the legend, who's joining me in the booth tonight. He's on double duties, not only pressing the buttons at home to bring you what you're seeing on your screens tonight, but also joining me in the booth tonight. JP, how are you this evening?
Matt, Mark, good evening, and good evening to everybody viewing the tonight. Another great night of racing, a great night for it. Saturday night, we're going to be racing at night in Kansas. Really looking forward to this one.
Mate, it's big duties for you tonight. It's Zach Caban unfortunately can't join us due to obviously real-world commitments on the outside with work, and you've had to double up on that. Busy night for you ahead, but mate, before we get into the itty-bitty business of everything, check out the championship points and what we've got in store for everyone tonight. A quick pick from you before we step into that, because I know your night's about to get busy once we start firing away.
Mate, smart money should be on Ed Foster. He's been the form of the field the last few races, but there are certainly plenty of dark horses out there. Dave Douglas is also one of them to look at. Norman Clark, he's the quiet achiever. He's currently sitting third in the championship. He's another one that if he gets a good run, he could make his way to the top of the field. There are so many drivers that can take this one out tonight.
Track work record's currently held by Aidan Schultz with a 30.68. And obviously last year's winner is the man himself, Eddie Foster. So few drivers to look out for tonight. Into the itty-bitty business, though, ladies and gentlemen, the championship points and how they stand right now before we move into the Honeybee 300 this evening. And 200 laps of action-packed racing. Ruben Feltz leads the top of the points table, should I say, at 116 points. Ed Foster, last year's winner, at 110 points. Norman Clark with 106. Tied for third, though, Stephen Williams, 106 as well. Darren McKenzie with 99. Adam Malone, 94. Devon Stove, 93 points. Greg Spencer, 89. Wayne Van Bijon with 89. And Jamie Nankervis with 88 points. That's your top 10 there, ladies and gentlemen. Let those cycle through. Toby Jordan, Stuart Patterson, Justin Allen, Aidan Schultz, Dave Douglas, Scott McClintock, Adam Ariel, Tristan Koch, Mark Smith, Daniel Heddershield. Rounding out your top 20. Heddershield, my apologies. Get that mixed up every single time so far. Rounding out your top 20 there, ladies and gentlemen. And so far, we've got a 32-car field as they're heading out for practice. Andrew Dyson, Brett Campbell, Michael Skurlock, Jai Schultz, JCW, Joshua Carroll Walden, Dylan DeGraff, Brad Newman, Mark Johansson sitting down there in 28th, Carl Withy, and Andy Barber round out your top 30 there. And we'll let the rest of those cycle through before we bring up the track notes and what's in store for the drivers, the fuel burn, the pit strategy, what they're going to be doing tonight. And it's going to be all sorts of interesting action out on the Tri-Oval. We know they're a tricky track to get around, Mark Johansson. And I'm looking forward to it immensely, especially after seeing what 2 weeks ago brought in that amazing all-night race. I didn't quite catch last week's broadcast, but I could understand if it was anything like 2 weeks ago, it would have been action-packed from start to finish.
Yeah, it definitely was. Some great racing held last week. Some very high speed crashes. And unfortunately, Ed was one of them. He got mixed up with Mr. Spurlock. And yeah, both of them found the inside wall down the main straight. But this brings out a different style of racing. You probably see a little bit of more drafting here. People trying to stay in those battle groups. I reckon we'll probably end up with 3 battle groups by mid-race, and then by the end of it, we'll be all back into one, I reckon.
Well, let's find out what exactly is in store for the drivers tonight in regards to fuel strategy and the amount of laps they're going to be dished out tonight around this 1.5-mile circuit. Tri-Oval in Kansas City. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then obviously the kink down the main straight, which will make it that Tri-Oval. You're currently sitting in the village west of Kansas City, 1.5-mile track, 4 turns, pit lane speed limit of 45 miles an hour. That's one drivers are definitely going to have to look out for. Total laps tonight is 200, 300-mile race distance, no fuel restrictions, 0.3 gallons of fuel burn a lap. And we're going to be looking at doing it anywhere between 3 and 4 stops. Look at the guys that are going to try and play strategic and try and get that done in 3 instead of the 4. 5 sets of tires. So safety cars, once they start coming out, we know safety cars breed safety cars, boys. Once the safety cars come out, the guys are going to have to pick and choose when they're going to want those tires. Air temperature of 75 degrees Fahrenheit, track temperature of 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's not much difference there. And a southwesterly wind direction of 8 miles an hour. And you can see down the bottom there, ladies and gentlemen, last year's winner, Ed Foster. The lap record set by Aidan Schultz there. And that was absolutely blistering lap. But nowhere near the actual fastest lap in a Cup car set by Kevin Harvick in the real world, JP, of 27.3 seconds at 197 miles an hour, or 318 kilometers an hour for those Australians at home.
Yeah, they certainly don't stand still around this track, and they get up and hoot along.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, just about to go into qualifying, I believe, if they're not already out. No, there's still a few cars circulating, so that still means we are in practice right now and about to set out for qualifying. I'll bring you some live pictures at the moment, but obviously none of all this is absolutely possible without License Me, a small family-owned business just in Albury, Wodonga there. And then we've got Track Racer as well as our name is right sponsor, the Custom Painting Diecast, along with JP at SimShed Broadcasting, who works endless hours to bring you what you see on your screens week in, week out, doing all the behind-the-scenes work while we dribble all the words out through the microphone to you guys. He's working frantically behind the screens trying to get the best possible picture, as you can see there with the wall cam right down on the track watching the drivers fly by. And, if you've been watching the pictures, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen a few cars already. JP, they're sliding out all over the place, which tells me we could be in for a very lengthy race tonight if the yellows keep coming out.
Yeah, look, this is a looks like it's a hallmark of this next gen car. These guys have got to take their time to get the tyres warmed up, to bed them in. The first few laps, these cars tend to be a bit skatey, and then they come good.
Mark Johansson, you're obviously the driver of one of these, and you've no doubtly gotten out on track throughout the week and tried to turn as many laps as possible. Try and learn this new car. How long has it taken for these tyres to warm up? What's the car's reaction around the tri-oval? There's obviously many factors to learning these new ones. What's the hardest bit you're finding right now at Kansas Speedway?
Just the grip level, mate. Like, I've just come out of the pit then, and yeah, that's broken loose on me out of turn one. These things take about between 5 and 10 laps to get some heat into the tyres, and then they really settle down and really grip up.
Does that mean come qualifying, what's that going to mean for not the viewers at home, but the guys that are going for that top spot to give themselves the best possible opportunity to get that front row and get a bit of a jump on the rest of the field, so they've got that bit of a gap throughout the race if we do maintain that green flag?
Look, through qualifying, you'll find guys will come out of the pit lane and they'll run the back straight and into turn 4 with a drag in their brake, and then it's hold on for dear life.
Well, Mark Johansson, we'll let you get into qualifying now. The counter's just clicked to 0 and we've started the qualifying session. So Godspeed, mate. Hopefully you can get yourselves a good position tonight to start the race from. And Edward Foster is the man to beat so far. He was top of the table in practice right there. And, ladies and gentlemen, this is about to get very interesting. As Mark Johansson said, see, look at that. Car's already getting loose and they're coming out of pit lane. Adam Malone, that is on screen right now, and he's going to abort by the looks of it and try again. But it's just going to prove, just coming out of pit lane, how tricky it is to wind these cars up to speed, get the temperature in the tyres as quick as they possibly can. You can see him just running off the low line there. It's a bit low to mid, and then they're shooting out through the mid on the exit of the corner. Just proving how difficult it is to get these cars around Kansas Speedway right now. Not long in qualifying either for these guys. They only got a couple laps from memory, JP.
Yeah, they only get 2 laps, two laps on their own to set a time, and that's all they need. I mean, with the lap times the way they are, they don't need a lot of time to get out there and set those lap times. So you'll see cars getting out there pretty quickly, setting some lap times, and then waiting to see what the other cars can come up with. And you can see straight away the timing table is starting to light up already.
Dan Curvis to the top of the timing tables, ladies and gentlemen. 31.45. Dion DeGraff at 31.57. Josh Schultz 31.6 at the moment. That is the front two, and then you got Allison rounding out the second row there with a 31.62. Dion DeGraff pips Nankervis. Josh Schultz pips Nankervis again. Nathan Button sees himself up. This is changing all over the place. Aiden Schultz, he's found himself on the second row now in qualifying. Watch the tables turn. Brad Allison finds his way up to third now. Mark Smith to the top of the timing tables, ladies and gentlemen. 31.29 as Edward Foster, last year's winner, pops himself into third, and then Stephen Williams tops the timing table and pops Foster down to fourth. Then Malone goes to the second row, pops Foster down back onto the third with Josh Schultz. Wayne Van Biljon in seventh. Brad Allison in eighth. Aiden Schultz in ninth. Jamie Nankervis rounding out your top 10 there, ladies and gentlemen. And how about that for a very quick qualifying session? Couple quick times posted straight up, and then that last lap. You watch that timing tower on the left of your screen go absolutely ballistic, ladies and gentlemen. There was names going all over the place, and even myself could not keep up with that. That Caven, on the other hand, may have been able to withstand a chance, but that was impressive right there. Stephen Williams, top of the timing tables, 31.28, will see himself off the front of the field tonight, ladies and gentlemen, around Kansas Speedway. for 200 laps. What's going to be an absolutely flying race. And 1.8 seconds. So 1.6, my apologies. 0.6 of a second, actually. I'll take the second out of that one. It's 0.6 of a second off Aiden Schultz's lap record. And Ruben Phelps, the latecomer. There's still a couple out on track. Ruben Phelps goes to the top of the 31.25 now. Qualifying's not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. There's still a few more seconds to go. Phelps does a late dash in qualifying. Reese May, Carl Withy, Brenton Henderson, and are still out on track. And by the looks of it, Brad Fenley as well. He is circulating out there currently. Have a look at this one. Reese May is currently on a flyer, drops to the bottom Armco. All right, and pulls in, aborts it. Reese wasn't happy with his lap right there, aborts it at the last minute, and that's going to be qualifying done, ladies and gentlemen, with 15 seconds left on the clock. Ruben Phelps, a 31.25 to Stephen Williams, 31.28. Those two are going to lock out the front row tonight. Mark Smith, Dion DeGraff off the second row. Going to be one interesting race. Edward Foster's got a little bit of work ahead of him tonight. Can he have the luck, though, tonight, unlike last week? What Mark Johansson said.
All right, mate, I'm going to head off. I'll head down to the team channel and I'll come back up later on and have a chat.
Booth is always open for you, Mark Johansson. Godspeed tonight, mate. All the best. And before you go, mate, starting out of 26th position, how do you reckon you'll go tonight?
Stay out of trouble, hopefully, and just get some points. Yeah, we'll just wait to see how things fold out.
All the best, mate. We'll speak very, very shortly.
Thanks, boys.
JP, what a qualifying session right there. Ruben Phelps, a late dive in qualifying to come to the top of the timing tables there. Sets himself up for a good chance to pip the field here on the start.
Yeah, absolutely. And these sorts of qualifiers never cease to entertain. So we should probably go and have a look at the grid now.
Let's line that up and go through that, ladies and gentlemen, as the drivers grid up in pit lane to go for their outlap. As you see, Ruben Phelps from the Goodyear Auto Care Warana Sim Sport team off the very front of the grid with Stephen Williams lining up next to him. Mark Smith and Dion DeGraff out of row 2. Row 3, we'll see Adam Malone and Edward Foster. Guy Schultz and Wayne Van Bilgen will go out of row 4. Brad Ellison, Reese May out of row 5. And Aiden Schultz, Damien Ankervis, row 6. Row 7, we've got Dave Douglas and Darren McKenzie. Nathan Button and Michael Sherlock will go out of row 8. Row 9, we'll see Greg Spencer and Raymond Gaga. Carl Withy and Nigel Patton out of row 10. Norman Clark, Adam Ariel out of row 11. And Brenton Henderson, Stuart Patterson, row 12. Row 13's got Justin Owen and Mark Johansson. Bill Hickey and Tristan Koch out of row 14. Scott McClintock, Andrew Dyson out of row 15. That's a very poor outing for Dyson right there at the back of the field. He might be up to something tricky here and maybe try and come from the back to the front, get that hard charger award off the commentators tonight. Matthew Raymond.
Burn from the stern, you reckon?
Yeah, definitely, JP, definitely. I reckon he's gonna have a tricky time doing it, but the favors can always come in the form of a yellow flag. From Matthew Raymond, Kobe Jordan, Eddie Barber, Brad Fenley, and then Brett Campbell rounding out the rear of the field. 35 cars tonight lining up for the Honey Bee 300 in Kansas City, ladies and gentlemen.
So this is going to be really interesting here. Like Ruben Phelps and Mark Smith are in the box seat here. If they can time their start to perfection, they might be able to get out. So let's see what happens.
Well, safety cars peeled off. They've lined up. They're at the steward's discretion right now. What can Phelps do? Red lights are on. We are green flag racing at Kansas Speedway for the Honey Bee 300, ladies and gentlemen. Ruben Phelps and Stephen Williams lead them away into turn 1. Mark Smith, 300 Graf not far behind him. They go to push to the midline, form up in single file and try and get that slipstream. The Graf looking race down to the inside already under Smith. Williams on the high line in the lead so far over Phelps. Brushes up right against the wall. Phelps gets to run into Graf to the bottom across the checkered line they go. Into turn one. And the Graf with a good run. Under Phelps he goes.
That high line's not working
so
yet.
Far.
Oh, no, here we go.
Oh, there's cars off. There's contact. That's Adam Malone. Wayne Van Biljon. They've come together. And is that a big chain reaction for the rest of the field? Yellow we go. Adam Malone gets a little bit loose by the looks of it. Yep, Adam Malone lets the back end step out a little bit too much. That's big contact, nowhere to go. Nowhere to go for the 67, the 167. I believe that was Nathan Butt. Pace car comes out for the first time. Lap 3, ladies and gentlemen. The Graf, he was off to a flyer, JP. Worked the low line, worked the high line, and wherever he put the car, it was working.
Yeah, he had a brilliant start and just waited for it. It seems that the high line's not working just yet, but yeah, that low line is pretty pacey.
That low line's definitely gripped up between practice and qualifying. It's got a whole nother level of speed about it. The high line's a little bit loose, as you can see. Malone just lets it skip out a little bit too far, and once the car goes, there's no bringing it back. That's brought out the first caution of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep count of these, because I reckon there might be a few more, as Zach Cabin likes to say. Safety cars breed safety cars, and being such a new car to the field as well, ladies and gentlemen, trying to come to grips with it takes time. And as Mark Johansson said, it takes a few laps, 4, 5, 6, 7 laps even, to bring these tyres up to temp.
Yeah, and that's that's the tightrope that these guys have got to walk. They've got to make pace in the car, but they've still got to bring those tyres up to temperature and avoid what just happened before. So yeah, it's a very narrow tightrope that these guys have got to walk on.
It's only it varies anywhere between 17 and 20 degrees of banking in the turns. There's obviously 10 degrees of banking through the try itself. And it's going to make the cars a little bit squirmy tonight under cold tyre pressures as well. Lights are out on the safety car, so we're going to go green this time round, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 5 of 200. Lasted all of 3 laps before the first safety car came out. What can De Graaf do off the start? Down the back straight they go. And De Graaf get the jump, get back to the lead and skip away from this attacking pack of Smith, Williams, May, Foster, Phelps, and that as well, right next to him on the outside.
Let's keep an eye on that low line.
He's got the line, doesn't he? He's got the line to start the race, JP. He's on the low line. It's gripped up. He's made it work. Get where he is now. Safety cars pulling in. Safety cars in. They're under the steward's discretion. Watch De Graaf. Bang. Jumps. And look at the jump De Graaf gets. He's blitzed Williams behind him by 4 car lengths. He's got Phelps by 3. And Williams is going to go by Phelps on the low line as well. What a restart by De Graaf. Battling in the back with Smith. Foster, Murray, Douglas. Car on the low line. Through 3 and 4 they go. Biggest mover so far, Andrew Tyson, up 15 positions from the rear of the field. And look at this now. Williams has drilled into Graf. Foster, he's approaching with speed. He's not going to let him get away. There's a car sideways through 2. A car sideways through 2, and it's caused another effect. Is it going to bring out the yellow for the second time? The Graf got lucky. Foster, though, made up a few crucial positions before the yellow flag came out. Arthur Hansen already in the pits and 3 laps down. That's not good news. He's out, though, and circulating. Who was that? Oh, big contact.
Darren McKenzie and
Big
Wayne Van
contact.
Beyon.
McKenzie and Beyon got together. McKenzie lost it on the low line, so the low line's not there yet either. The tyres still need to get some more heat into them. This is not a bad time, actually, to JP, to bring up our special guest tonight in the form of the number 26 from the Iridium SimSport team, Billy Hickey. Mate, thank you for allowing us to drag you up to the commentary booth under these cautions, mate. So far, your thoughts? There's not many thoughts to really give. It's just been a yellow race so far.
Yeah, good evening, Matt. Good evening, JP. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's it's been a bit like that, mate. Yeah, look, I mean, you want to get out there and go racing, but mistakes happen, and it's just the way that it goes. So can't do much about it. I'm just going to get a splash of fuel and here, but it's just the way that it is.
You're sitting pretty comfortable there around the mid pack before you did take that quick splash and dash of fuel, and not a bad little strategy call either, because I mean, pop up a little bit, you might be able to run a couple more laps longer under green if you do stay green, and then if the yellow gets brought out, you're going to jump up a whole heap of positions as well. So that's actually not a bad little tactic. But there, considering it's now our second safety car, but pace car. Sorry, my apologies. That's the Australian V8 supercar terminology coming out in me from here. But your thoughts on the race so far, mate? I mean, is the tyres on the car coming up to temp quicker than what you'd expect? And what's the field around you doing, considering we're now under second safety? The guys that have crashed out have been up towards the front of that field. What are your thoughts so far on all that, mate?
Well, look, I mean, the car actually goes all right around here. You know, as I was saying last time I spoke to you guys in Vegas, that the car, you know, we're learning the track all over again, like we know how to ride a bike again at each track we go to. So the car's actually not too bad around here. It's a very, I mean, Kansas is a very, I've never actually raced here before. It's a very smooth surface and it's very fast, so it's good, and it kind of suits these cars. But the awkward part about this next gen car is, because of the lack of downforce and things like that, it doesn't give you a whole lot of feedback, so it can catch you off guard, and I think that's what we're starting to see, unfortunately. Look, I think there's going to be a few cautions. That's just how it goes, and you know, I think as we start to sort of get used to it, as the race goes on, we'll start to see some green flag running.
You actually make a good point there. It's new gen cars. It's not like you're sitting in the actual car yourself. You're trying to feel an entire car that's virtually made through the palms of your hands. So that's again another tricky task. I mean, you've got guys out there who, I'm sure if there is any within the Australian Stock Car Championship field tonight, but you've got guys out there that do have those motion rigs, but still, yet then again, it still doesn't give you the feel of the actual car in the, as we say, you drive with your bum. You can feel the car in your bum and everything like that, and what it's doing. So you don't know when it's going to step out on you or not.
That's right. There's none of that seat of your pants feeling. You know, of how it's all down out. And geez, that strategy call was bang on, wasn't it? 19th position. Yeah, good. Yeah, so that is right, and that's just what it is. That's what we have to contend with. That's what makes it so interesting. You know, because of that, majority of the time you can see different guys up in the end too each week.
Well, hopefully that strategy call for you, mate, gives you a few more positions than just 8. You're up into 19th now, so that's not a bad jump there, mate. We'll let you go. You come down the back chute. You're about to go on a restart. Godspeed, and we'll speak to you very shortly.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Hickey in the Iridium Sim Sports team talking about the new car and how hard it is to learn that Kansas City is just a smooth track, so it's going to be interesting. But the safety, there's not the safety car, the pace car lights are out. I'm going to have to get that terminology out of my mouth, ladies and gentlemen, so bear with me on that one. But the pace car lights are out for the second time round, or third time since the start of the race. You want to be very, very technical on that one. But we're about to go for our second restart off the race. DeGraff Williams on the front row. What can DeGraff do again? Can he get a good jump? He does. Does Williams go? No, Foster goes with him. Foster and Williams side by side. DeGraff gets a nice little jump. Holtz is going to go with him as well. Schultz is there. Don't disregard him. Foster and Williams side by side. They're going to catch DeGraff. And what's Foster going to do on the low line? Right on the back bumper of DeGraff now. To the low line, Foster goes. The rest of the field getting through nice and smooth. Foster's made the move to the lead. Foster to the lead on lap 12 of 200 as they go for 13. Williams still in this battle. Phelps as well. Right back to Adam Ariel in 13th position.
Here we go, another pace car, another caution period.
Car loose in the back, that's Aiden Schultz. Aiden Schultz dropping down Mark Smith off the track as well. AP, talk us through this one. Safety car after safety car. The boys have got to calm down.
Yeah, look, I think it's a matter of these guys aren't giving their tyres enough time to sort of settle in. And look at this. Car starts to get sideways, goes for the correction, overcorrects,
very loose,
and into the wall. Yeah, so unfortunate. Look, really unfortunate. And as I was saying, you know, it's that tightrope that they're walking between having that pace and having a stable car, and some of them, unfortunately, are falling victim to the tie deck. And look at that, somebody not paying attention there, I'd say.
And that takes out another whole heap of cars again, JP. Look at that. Brett Campbell, Reese Mayer, Stuart Patterson, Billy Hickey, Mark Johansson, Josh Schultz, Aiden Schultz, Nigel Patton, Darren McKenzie, our reigning champion. He's out of the race in pit lane. Wayne Van Bilgen, he's in 32nd in pit lane. Nathan Button, I believe he's circulating. Adam Malone is now circulating as well. And Carl Withy, he's seeking some medical assistance at the moment. He's in the medical centre. So that's not good news for Carl. And actually, speaking of the devil, he joins us in the booth right now under our third pace car caution of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Keep count of those ones for me, because I reckon I'm going to lose track here. Carl, mate, in the medical centre, you've been allowed to be admitted to the broadcast booth right now. Talk us through what happened.
Well, I was hoping not to be up here tonight, in all honesty. I spend way too much time doing commentary, not enough time racing. Unfortunately, tonight, a little bit of... it was a mixture of bad luck, bad positioning, and just a tiny bit of netcode, unfortunately. That first incident, I basically made it just underneath Adam Malone after he got tagged by somebody else, sort of pinged down the track. And I went and watched the replay a couple of times, and just the tiniest bit of impact on the front right, and unfortunately, it toasted my engine. So it was the most... There was barely any damage on my car, in all honesty. It looked almost pristine, but it just killed the engine, unfortunately. So about 30-odd minutes of damage for repairs. So, yeah, that's my night probably done. But with all these cautions, I'm thinking I might come out again. I might have a chance. I've still got about 20-odd minutes before I can actually leave. But, yeah, it's been really tricky out there. And I just was watching that last incident, actually. With Aiden Schultz there, unfortunately, and a lot of drivers have been struggling through turns 1 and 2, and the car just snapped. And it looks like that's what happened to Aiden there, is it just snapped on him at the wrong time, and it is so hard to save the car in that corner. Unfortunately, he's gone around. Big accident there, and a lot more people taken out, unfortunately.
Oh, I think it's more of the case of maybe also driving the car a little bit too hard. I saw your incident there with Adam Maloney. He was on the load line, and the car's just come out of shape on him far too quick. And once they're out of shape, you know, the drill there, Carl, there's no bringing them back. So, I mean, there's a seat in the commentary booth for the next, you know, your next 20 odd minutes. So feel free to join us in the commentary booth and relieve JP of some duties if you feel like. I mean, there's more enough room up here. It's more the merrier, I say. But third caution of the night. And the other thing you got to look at as well is if these cautions do come out, plays into your hand, you get back out on track, and you get to score some crucial championship points for the end of the season.
Yeah, that's it. It's you know, I might try and get back out there a little bit later on, but I'm happy to jump up here in the meantime if you're willing to have me, JP and Matt. So yes, I'm more than happy to come up here and give you a bit of a hand.
Mate, the voice of Carl Withy is more than welcome to come up to here. It's cheerful. It makes us smile. It's going to make everybody else at home smile as well. And we get to lean on you for a bit of insight as well. Obviously, you yourself being a driver, myself being a supercar driver. I'm not as I like to call it, the Yankee serial. I go both ways, not just left. So, I'm not familiar with these cars at all. But I'm sure between yourself and Bill Hickey from the Iridium Support team, there's more than enough knowledge there. I believe the pace car has got its lights out now, ladies and gentlemen, so we are going to go racing this time round.
Going to get back to green flag, of course. Foster will be leading them away, getting that pack launched away, becoming effectively the pace car once that one peels in. So always an important decision when you're the leader, when to drop the loud pedal. So he's got plenty of practice at it. Going to be interesting to see here if everybody can get it up to speed and in the right spot as well. As you're talking about, getting those tyres up to temperature is important. A few people coming into pit lane, I think, just to top up fuel, but there'll probably be a couple of people on fresh tyres as well, so they have to be a little bit cautious on this restart, not to spin it up.
Against the jump early, he jumps on the Graf and Williams, but can they reel him in by turns 1 and 2? Phelps is going to go with him. Williams on the low line, the Graf on the high line. Foster's checked out. This
really
is
nice.
where they get squirmy. Nice
really
restart
nice
so far. Very nice, Carl. That's back in a single file through the mid-pack. William drops to the low line under the Graf. Let's see if we can get more than 2 laps of green flag racing this time round, ladies and gentlemen. William squeezes the Graf into the wall and he grazes the wall.
Big moment there, and that's going to cost him a lot of momentum. That was painful, but luckily managed to just save it. Just possibly running the car up. I reckon that was just a little bit of washout on Williams' side.
And the Graf gets loose.
Yeah, damage on the front of that car is not going to help it. It's going to take him a couple of laps just to get settled down there. Foster, though, having an absolute lightning restart, building a nice lead at the moment at the front of the grid.
Definitely with the help of Williams and de Graaf getting together. As you saw Brent Anderson there making the move on the low line. He now moves up into 12th position. And where's Andrew Dyson after all this? I think he's dropped out of the race. He's down to the 27th. He was up there. He made a whole heap of positions at the start of the race. He's dropped down. That tactic didn't work for him tonight. Biggest mover now of the race. Brad Fenley starts 34th position, ladies and gentlemen. He's now up into 14th. So big mover there as Williams goes fastest lap of the race, 31.5, as Foster now checks out to over half a second lead.
I got to correct you. That biggest mover is Matty Ray, 24 positions gained, up in 7th at the moment. He is on a flyer there.
Matty Raymond, 24 positions in 7th, number 81. He's on an absolute fire right now. He's rubbing his hands together going, he can't believe it. On board now with Brenton Henderson, though, the 113. 21 of 200. We've gone more than a couple laps, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get a good run of green flag racing and start to make this interesting? It's been more of a fuel save race under yellow than it has actually been racing itself an action pack. now all the drivers sorted themselves out in single file. Couple having a look on the low line as Henderson does now. Matty Skurlock fastest lap of the race, 31.45.
I think Skurlock's starting to push now. He dropped down a little bit at the start of the race. He dropped right down to the back at the He's squeezing past him just before that incident happened, but he's worked his way nicely back up to the front of the field now. Definitely setting some fast times, but watch out for Williams behind. He is now starting to set some speed. He's got a bit of damage on the front of that car, but he is one of those drivers that's able to drive around that, and he's catching up to Foster at the front, right on the rear of that spoiler at the moment. Down the back straight here, Williams is just looking to see where he can make a bit of a move on Foster now. Foster taking that low line. That's going to punish the front car a little bit more. Williams taking that high line at the moment.
Paces Skurlock. Early's just bouncing even more pace. He goes fast lap of the race again at 31. Oh no, sorry, that was last up. 31.76. Williams gets loose. Look at that turn on board shot and a catch by Williams, ladies and gentlemen. The right timing right there. As he's chasing after Eddie Foster, and he's allowed him to get out to over 7/10 of a second with just that little minor incident. He's now got Phelps and Douglas for company though on his rear spoiler. Williams does. As they come down across the start-finish line, a start lap 25 of 200. Can he get that momentum up again, Carl?
I reckon he's going to cost him a little bit. He's just got to get resettled in the car now. But Stevie Dub has got a lot of experience underneath him. He's one of those drivers that's capable of doing that. But he now has Dave Douglas all over the back of him, and look at how quickly Dave's chasing through. Yeah, Douglas has been saving a little bit in the early stages of this race, same as Ruben Phelps actually. Those two have just been sitting back a little bit, watching the front runners and waiting to make a bit of a move. And look at Ruben, they're getting down on the inside, getting past Williams and now Dave Douglas if he can. Very nice move there by Ruben Phelps in the 06.
JP, I'll bring you in here very, very quickly, mate. We've sort of relieved you of your duties today. We're lucky that Carl's actually had this sort of incident thing so early in the race, mate. Back to green flag racing final with the hard action-packed racing we've been looking for. Douglas past Boston. Now we've got Phelps and Williams in it. Skurlock's not that far behind him. This is the race that we've been waiting for.
Yeah, these guys have found their rhythm now, and now they're starting to race. And look at this, Dave Douglas making a move around the outside on Ed Foster. And look, I mean, it's still very, very early days at the minute. These guys are kind of at this stage racing for sheep stations. They're trying each other out. They're seeing where their strengths and weaknesses are. Dave Douglas is going to try and make a move and take off. Don't expect Ed Foster to try and follow him. He kind of likes to save his tyres and conserve, and then you'll see him start to reel Dave Douglas back in again.
I reckon look for Ed Foster towards the end of the pit stops there. I reckon Carl JP, you might see him just creep up a little bit towards the end before, whether it be a yellow flag pit stop or the green stop. And Foster goes to the bottom line. That's going to hurt him a little bit on the tyres. See what happens there. Lap 28 of 200 now as they start lap 29. Carl?
One thing you might see Foster doing is just trying to spot him behind another car if he wants to save a little bit of fuel. Of course, when you're sitting out in front leading the race, you get lovely cool air on the car, but you don't really save much of the old go juice. So if you can sit yourself up behind another car, sometimes that can save you half a lap to a lap of fuel over a stint. So if he's thinking about a long green stint here, he might be trying to get into that sort of bubble, that little bit of draft bubble, especially down the straights, to save him that little bit of extra fuel, taking that low line as well, or shortest part of the circuit. Might hurt the tyres a little bit more, but can help reduce the length of the track a little bit. So Foster might be just trying a little bit of a fuel save here, trying something a bit different. Tyres aren't dropping off too much tonight. That's one of the things that I could definitely report on. Tyre wear was not a huge issue when we were out there. It was just getting them up to temperature, and now on this run, obviously, everybody's got them up to temperature, and these things are very drivable.
See it now, they're starting to grip up as we start lap 31 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship at Kansas Speedway for the Honeybee 300, ladies and gentlemen. We've gone 3 pace cars so far at the start of the race. There's been more laps under pace car than green flag racing so far, and I think we're about to finally overlap one another and go more green flag racing than we have yellow. at last. We are on board now with Dave Douglas. And why don't we, as he leads the race right now, is over 4 tenths of a second out in front of Edward Foster. Crank up the volume as he starts lap 32. Yellow flag out on lap 34 of 200, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe the sole cause of that is not one Billy Hickey. He's down in 23rd position. Actually, might be Billy Hickey, I think. The Graph, he's down in 22nd position right now. So something's happened to DeGraff. He was up the front. He's now down the back.
Yeah,
Get a replay of this one.
DeGraff had a big moment coming off of turn number 4, getting across the tribal section. And
up against the wall, gets loose.
Yeah, just tags the wall a little bit. It's almost like he lost a little bit of grip there following the car in front of him. And that can happen with this new generation of car. Is they work off the rear diffuser, of course. And when you get a car chopping across in front of you, sometimes it just lifts the aero a little bit. You lose a little bit of that rear grip. And I reckon that's what's happened, is he's just scrubbed up into the wall. Unfortunately, had that big moment. But this is a godsend for those guys up in front, because this means pit stops.
Oh, look at this. That's a flurry on pit lane, ladies and gentlemen, at Kansas Speedway. How beautiful was that shot of the entire track all lit up at night? Who's going to be the one to stay out? Try and gain a couple positions from this one, as we see Phelps, the top sitter of qualifying. He comes into his pit box now.
I think everybody coming into pit lane right now, not worth sticking it out. It was about 35 laps there. So that is definitely time to chuck some more fuel into these things. I think it's about 50 odd laps, 58 laps of fuel you can get in the tank from memory. Dave Douglas getting a nice stop there. Foster was a little bit quicker in pit lane, but Dave Douglas was just having that little bit of lead as he got in there, and that saved him there.
You have a few drivers staying out, unlapping themselves, of course. Billy Hickey, one of them. Mark Johansson, another one. He's still circulating out there as well after his incident early on, getting tangled up in a bit of a mess.
Oh, Matty Ray had a fantastic pit stop. Got himself up a couple of positions there. Very quick.
Matty Ray and Brad Fenley, mate.
Yeah, Matty Ray, 14-second stop in total, 40.5 through pit lane. Brad Fenley, I reckon he only took one set of tyres. So I reckon he is doing a little bit of a strategy pull there, because that stop time suggests only taking right sides, or no tyres at all, actually. So we will keep talking as we get things back working here. But looking at Fenley's time, it was just for fuel for him. So he didn't take any tyres in that stop. That could prove very useful later on in the race if we get another couple of cautions. But right now, he's going to struggle on that restart. He's just got to be careful putting his foot down, because those worn rear tyres spin up very, very quickly indeed.
Big tyre strategy game. You only got 5 sets tonight as well, so that's going to play into the hands of the guys who want to try and shake up this strategy a little bit. One being Brad Fenley is the currently sitting in 7th position. If he can make this work and he's gone easy on those tyres at the start of the race, it could prove that he may be able to get a few more spots again and be the biggest mover of the field tonight. Just going through some technical difficulties right now, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be back with you live images very, very shortly. But in the meantime, you get to listen to the beautiful voices of Carl Withers and Matt Davis himself on the airways, the Sim Shed broadcasting on a Saturday night for the Honeybee 300 brought to you by Custom Drinks and Diecast going stockcar championship. So this is going to be absolute cracking to the end of the race. We've only just gone over 36 laps now, I believe, Carl. You've got the live in front of you right now, actually being obviously in the car, so you'd be able to tell us a little bit more of what's going on in the race, more than what I can see from the screens in down here in Victoria.
So yeah, lap 37, I think we're on now. So so we are pretty much getting out. One of the issues if I'm actually racing, my live timing system's a little bit iffy. So it throws things out, but 162 laps remaining tonight, I believe. So that could be as I say, that goes off my car, sitting in pit lane for some of my time exploring now, which doesn't make things easier for me. But it is Dave Douglas in the lead, Foster in second, Phelps in third. Fourth is Matty Ray, big gainer of night, 27 positions so far. Michael Scullock fifth, sixth Brad Allison, seventh Brad Fenley, 27 positions. Eighth we have Jamie Nankervis, Greg Spencer and Brenton Henderson rounding out the top 10. So good run from a fair few drivers, a few big names out early, as we say. We've lost Dyson, we have lost Aidan Schultz, Mark Smith, Jay Schultz as well. As we get back to green flag racing here, Dave Douglas launches away and gets a good start at the front, leading away ahead of Foster, just behind. Ruben Phelps getting a nice run on the low line, getting away cleanly here at the moment. He is going to want to try and get a good run here. Cars have to be careful as they are on the cold tyres now. Very easy to lose the rear as you go through turn number 2 here. The car does not like that corner. Gets very, very loose. Foster gets a really good run on Douglas now. Foster into the lead of the race. So as we get round turn 3 and 4 for the first time after that caution, it is Dave Douglas in the lead. Michael Scullock getting a really good run as well, moving up and sitting himself just beside Ruben Phelps and behind Foster. That's going to be one of the battles to look out for at the moment. Oh, who was that in the background? It's Greg Spencer losing the car. It manages to save it.
Lost. Drop a lot of positions, and I don't think that's going to bring out the caution either, Carl. So that's going to be very handy for these drivers out front. Douglas, Foster, Scullock, and Phelps right now, and the chasing of Allison, Raymond, and Curvis, Henderson, Fenley, and Barber rounding out top 10 there. We'll get back to live pictures now for you, ladies and gentlemen. By the looks of it, we have sorted out our little technical issue. There's a few more gremlins still playing here. That is the joys of the sim world and being everything computer streamed, should I say.
Of course, computers. Brenton Henderson having a big moment as he goes into turn 1. He managed to save it, just loses the rear off of 2. He managed to keep it running in the right direction, so doesn't lose too many positions, but it's fallen off the main pack.
Well, Carl, you shouldn't be too far away from going back out on track now. It's been roughly 31 minutes, I'd say, since you've done those motor repairs. 9
minutes so far, so I've still
there we go, including the tow. So that's including the tow back to pit lane as well.
So I've still got a good about 6 minutes before I head out there again. So,
Still got Carl with us, ladies and gentlemen, for a few more minutes at this stage as we start lap 43 of 200. The Honeybee 300 at Kansas Speedway. Your current leader, if you are just joining us, Dave Douglas is getting out the front of Edward Foster, last year's winner. Michael Scullock, Ruben Phelps, and Brad Allison round out your top 5 so far as they come down the back chute now. Got a lapped car just on the low line right there, the 192. And that's going to be, is that the 197? That might be Stuart Patterson on the low line there. I think it was Stuart Patterson. Just getting out of the way of these faster drivers. Across the start-finish line, they come again. 31-2 for Douglas that time round. So the pace is still up there. Big 6-car battle right now for the lead. Douglas, Foster, Scullock, Phelps, Allison, and Curvis Raymond not too far away from them. He's dropped a couple positions from where he was, same as Andy Barber. Douglas has got control on this restart. 4 pace cars so far this race, ladies and gentlemen. Douglas is looking to try and make the most of it. Foster hanging back a little bit. He's going to try and play conservative here, I think. We know he's a late bloomer. We know he likes to turn it on in the closing moments of either the pit stop or the race in general. Douglas gets right out onto the wall, though.
Yeah, Foster really taking that low line. He seems to be preferring that low line over everybody else. Same as Ruben Phelps. He's trying it as well. I think he's been watching Foster and he's decided, well, if you can do it, I can do it as well. So he's going to try that move too. It's a little bit of it's one of those tracks where you have a bit of a choice between low, mid and high. All 3 lines can work for you. It just depends a bit on your driving style, a bit on how you're going to go for it. And it can cost a little bit of speed. Taking that low line, it does slow you down a bit going into the corner. You lose a little bit of speed going out of the corner, but the mid-corner speed's there. The high line, you have a bit more exit speed, but you have to ease off a little bit more in the entry. So they all have valid little ways of doing it, and they generally work out to be about the same time around the lap, but you just lose speed in different areas. Meanwhile, Foster gets a really good run on Douglas here, gets down the inside, goes for the charge, and they are catching up, I think, to a lap. Are they? Oh, no, we got a caution out.
Another caution. That's caution number 5 for the night, ladies and gentlemen. Caution 5. Edward Foster had a really good run on Douglas. He started to widen the pace up. They're still under green by the looks of it. Foster's checked out, but they're still under green from what I can see. Foster's just skipped away from Douglas. Douglas is...
I've got caution coming up on my screen.
We've got Carl with caution. We've got Douglas fading away. Starting to slow down now. I think Foster just thought to go for it and see what he can make of it.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be pushed back a position right now, back into second from where he was when the caution did come out when Carl called it. I think we are back under caution, ladies and gentlemen. We are. They've slowed right down on the back chute. There's Edward Foster now coming onto your screen. The pace car is out. Foster, though, I think might have snuck this position, Carl. I think he might have kept the hammer down, and Dave Douglas has jumped off the loud pedal a moment too early.
Yeah, I think Foster just had his nose in front when that caution came out, so that gave him the opportunity there. And then he just caught the pace car as soon as possible. So he wanted to catch that pace car ASAP, whereas some drivers like to lift off a little bit early. So it's given him the opportunity just to catch a few drivers out, and it's probably worked out well for Douglas, who's coming to pit lane. So Douglas has come in for a bit of a top-up of fuel, I'd say. So we've got a few different strategies playing out. I'm not sure exactly what caused that caution. Oh, I found it now. Somebody was off on the rival section, and it was De Graaf. Yeah, he had a big moment spinning,
De Graaf again,
catching the exit of turn 4, and that was a big impact. So yeah, that's brought that caution out again. We're on that 49 now. So 151 laps remaining.
Strong start from De Graaf, ladies and gentlemen, and it's all gone down the gurgler for him. He's currently sitting 22nd position in pit lane. I think he's going to be there for quite a lengthy amount of time. Not a bad time to bring Bill Hickey back up into the room and see what Bill has got in store for us. He's had a good little pit stop there. He's now actually made up quite a few positions now, Carl. He's sitting up in 11th position. Billy Hickey from Iridium Sim Sports, mate. I think I called it. The strategy worked very, very well for you.
Yeah, well, straight after I got off the phone to you last time, I got caught up in a wreck. I thought, oh, yep, that's how it's going to be. But just took the repairs that I had and took on some tyres and fuel. This feels like not too long ago, but it was about almost 50 laps ago.
It was.
And yeah, the car still feels really good with these tyres underneath me, so it feels good. I've still got 4 sets left, so I know how I'm working. But yeah, made my way all the way up to 11th after being a lap down, so not too bad.
That's a very big jump, mate. From a lap down from what we saw you to now sitting all pretty comfortably in 11th position with another pit stop under your belt, some fresh fuel, tyres as well. This could give you a pretty racy chance right now to make you move inside the top 10 and go for that top 5.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, the only way is forward, obviously, and I mean, I've got some pretty old tyres underneath me, but I know that the fuel can go for quite some time. I've still got about 40 laps of fuel left, so I mean, I predict I'll stop the tyres well before that, but if they hold on, then we'll carry on. But look, I sort of think that, you know, like, it's only lap 50, there's still 150 to go. We've only just got to 25%, and anything can happen in that time. But there's a lot of, no one knows what's going on out there tonight because no one knows what to expect. So
Well, we can definitely see that. I mean, mate, if you can make these tyres last, there's obviously going to be another yellow come out at some point in this race. We're up to 5 cautions already, and we've only just gone 25% of the race distance. So that's saying something. So I reckon if you can hold out there, mate, on those tyres, try and hold out for another yellow. I reckon if you get under another yellow, it's going to give you a very good chance.
Absolutely, and especially on oval racing, no one wants to pit under green unless there's absolutely no yellows. That's just the way it is. You don't want to go a lap down. You know, there's plenty of cars laps down, and then you just get up and that's it. So, I mean, if you put under caution, beautifully. But I quite like being on an alternate strategy because it just throws it in the mix a wee bit.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we say bye to Carl Withy right now. He's now circulating out on track. So those repairs are obviously done for you, Carl, which is good. I believe we're about to go green flag racing again. Would I be right, boys?
We are
That's
indeed.
I'll let you. Billy, I'll say goodbye to you, mate, and we'll chat to you very, very shortly. Thanks again.
Thanks.
And Carl, mate, I'll drop you down into the medical center if you like, and you can move around from there to wherever you are from. But thank you very much for relieving JP of his duties right now, and we'll let you get back to some green flag racing and enjoy the rest of the race.
Have a good call, boys.
Thanks, Carl. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Hickey and Carl Withy. Big thank you to Carl Withy as we get under green flag racing again. Ed Foster from the start alongside Ruben Phelps. And a jump Foster gets again. Foster gets a very big jump. Into turn 1 they go. Phelps, Raymond get a beautiful jump as well. He's up into 3rd position right now. Him and Nankervis wrapping it out right now through turn 2. Do we get through cleanly? By the looks of it, we do so far. And down the back chute, we go on lap 52 of 200. Billy Hickey makes another move. He's inside the top 10 now, so it didn't take too long at all. Billy Hickey inside the top 10. He's up 18 spots. Brett Campbell, big mover again. 22 gain from him after starting 35th. So a lot of big movers. And Kobe Jordan inside the top 10 as well. He's up 24 positions. Lots and lots of big movers very early on in the race. You heard it from Billy before as well. 25% race is done and dusted as we start to go to lap 54 of 200, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Foster, your current leader, as we go round a lap car on the high line. Phelps, Williams, Nankervis. The battle goes right back to the graph in 20th. They're in hot pursuit. Bit of a gap between Kobe Jordan and Skurlock right now. That will close in, no doubt, when Skurlock starts to get a bit of momentum and that setup starts to turn on a little bit. JP, we're still having a few technical difficulties on our end, but other than that, it's by looks of it, we're going to go back to yellow flag racing as we seem as the drivers are still trying to sort themselves out after letting these tyres cool down.
Yeah, look, this race has been definitely been a race of attrition with a lot of retirees now, a lot of sad faces in the pits. But you know, cream is always rising to the top, and we're seeing it. And yet another caution.
Another caution is out, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Smith, Aidan Schultz, they've retired from the race. I believe Andrew Dyson has as well. Nigel Patton has retired. Josh Schultz retired. Two other drivers have just pulled out of pits to try and circulate, but there was the reason for the caution. Brad Fenley, he had such a good run there. He was running really well, and it's all come unstuck for Fenley right there. Pace car out. Foster catches up to that. Pace car will bring the field back under control for now the 6th time in a matter of 56 laps, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us so on a Saturday night, wherever you are joining in from, whether it be in Australia or around the world. And Kansas Speedway, the tri-oval track for the Honey Bee 300, round 4, the custom paints and diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. Obviously, it's not brought to you by Without License Me, Track Racer, and Sim Shed Broadcasting. Man behind the screen, JP, doing all this work, trying to sort out technical difficulties as well as bring you live pictures wherever it may be coming from around this 1.5 mile circuit. Your top 10 so far, ladies and gentlemen: Foster, Phelps, Williams, Vancouver's, Raymond, Jager, Henderson, Jordan, Skurlock, and Dave Douglas. Dave Douglas, after that pit stop's dropped down just a few more positions. Everyone just having a bit of a longer pit stop than what they usually have. They grabbed a bit of fuel before, maybe another set of tyres. They might not have grabbed tyres earlier on. But Foster is definitely making this work for him right now. But a lot of fuel saving going on between these guys as we go under the 6th caution of the race. Just makes stuff a lot harder to get rolling again as well, JP. I mean, the more cautions they come under, they start to bring tyres back up to temp. They start to get rolling, that momentum up. And then another caution comes out, and those temperatures that they had in the tyre will come down, and then some more, because they're not under that full pace of green flag racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a matter of they need to exercise a little bit more patience, and the cars are just getting away from them.
One thing we're hearing a lot, ladies and gentlemen, about these cars: patience, patience, patience. That P word. Hearing it a lot lately. And it's going to take some time for these guys to learn this new car. I mean, it's complete new cards to iRacing itself. And as we've heard previously from previous drivers, the aerodynamics on these cars are just, it's not there. It's like handling a bus at 300 kilometers an hour. You know, it's not going to be there. The grip levels aren't going to be there. That aerodynamics isn't forcing that car to the track. And the drivers are really, really having to steer these cars around the track right now. Lights are still on the safety car as we go to do lap 59. We'll go green this time around. Foster will lead the charge once again on the restart. Packed house in the iRacing crowd tonight at Kansas Speedway. Full house. Biggest movers so far tonight, sitting inside the top 10. Matthew Raymond, 26 positions gained by that man. Brenton Henderson, he's up 16. And Kobe Jordan up 24. Raymond Jager as well. He's made up a few positions himself. He's up 12. Jamie Nankervis started all the way down in 12th. He's now in 8th. In 4th, my apologies. He's made 8 positions. Edward Foster, we know he's fast around here. We know he likes the track, but it's a completely new car, as we're saying. So, by the looks of it, Edward Foster, he's got this thing golden around here. He spent some time on this setup and make it suit him to a T. Remember, this is a fixed series as well, ladies and gentlemen. So we all are on an even playing field amongst the drivers. This really now comes down to the driver talent and how much practice they get on this track to make the cars suit them, or themselves suit the setup, should I say, of the car. It all comes down to track temp, where the grip levels are, and at the moment that low line's just not working for them. Where they be clipping that white line or not on the low line, it may be the case, but we're going green flag once again. Edward Foster, another fantastic jump by the 53 of Edward Foster. Phelps is going to try and go with him this time, but he's got Williams for company on the inside. Nankervis is dropping back. He's there on the outside a little bit. He's going to have Raymond Jager and Matthew Raymond for company down the low line. And look at Jager. That's Raymond, sorry, dropped to the low line. Now he's all over the back of Jamie Nankervis. Raymond all over the back of Nankervis right now as they go through 3 and 4. Trying to make that low line work for him. some to the high, some to the low, some to the ultra low. And that is Stephen Williams down the low line under Foster, and Williams to the lead. On lap 61 of 200, Stephen Williams takes the lead over Edward Foster. Another lead change for the race. Foster's going to come back though onto the low line. Takes the dive. Foster to the lead now. Can he hold it to the start-finish line? Can this be yet another lead change for the race? Big run on the outside by Williams. Foster to the ultra low. Foster maintains the lead for the meantime. Williams to the high line. Foster to the low line. Phelps, Nankervis, Raymond, Gaga, Jordan, all with him. That was Nankervis getting a little bit loose. Saw him get loose up top. You saw him drop to the low line. McGrath, he's worked his way back up through the field now. He's currently sitting in 10th position. Lap 63 of 200 now. Can we go more than a few more laps of green flag racing? Or are we going to get another yellow? On screen with the graph now. He's working the inside of Raymond Jager right here. Oh, Dave Douglas. Sorry, my apologies. Dave Douglas and Theon DeGraff, both the same car, different numbers. Green flag racing finally, ladies and gentlemen. The action's picking up. It's a battle right through to 12th position right now. And Stephen Williams is your current leader. Can they get some heat into these tyres and get them working again? Can they make him hold off before the next pit stop? It's a fantastic battle at the front of the field. Look at this, 3 big battle packs. 4-car battle for the lead. 4-car battle for 5th place. Williams, Foster, Phelps, Nankervis fighting for the lead. Raymond, Douglas, Skurlock, Jager fighting for 5th. They've invited a few more cars into the mix as well. Is this field going to bunch up at the front, and is it going to be a 12-car race to the finish? KP, they finally settled themselves out to a groove at last. Williams seems to be controlling the race very comfortably there. He's using that high line and making sure Foster's not going to drop down. We know Foster can be quick on that low line and make it work. Foster's going to have a bit of a run, but maybe a bit of a strategic move from Foster here. But it's the guys behind that we got to watch out. We've seen Matthew Raymond. He's making a good run right now. He's up 24 positions. There's Foster has a very good run on Williams right now. Drops to the low line, Foster to the lead. There goes my question completely out the window, because Foster's obviously not being conservative. He's just gone on the low line of Williams. As Williams now wants to fight back. Across the start-finish line, that goes 68 of 200 now, ladies and gentlemen. Very close between Foster and Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, this is too good to call. You've got to watch it to believe it. Now Williams to the low line. Let's see what happens here. Foster strong on that high line. Williams drops below the white line, and Foster still maintains it. Foster too strong on that high line. He's got it working for him. It's rubbing up, and the car is working for him. Williams now gets done by Phelps. That low line, a little bit loose still. Williams and Skurlock trying to get that low line to rubber up. Phelps drops down a car width. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. It's now a 9-car battle for the lead on lap 70 at 200 for the Honeybee 300. why don't we jump on board right now with Steve Williams, ladies and gentlemen, grab a crank up the volume, a few laps around Kansas Speedway, and see what it's like to sit in 4th position as Phelps gets ends with Foster now. Crank up the volume, ladies and gentlemen, and look at this for a bird's eye view from the front bumper of Stephen Williams. Crank up the volumes, just gonna have to wait for the meantime. These technical difficulties are still wreaking havoc in the Sim Shed broadcasting room. We are working frantically behind the scenes right now to get this sorted for you as soon as we possibly can. But for the meantime, it's Edward Foster in the lead. On the low line there, that's Matty Raymond, I believe. That's Skurlock. Skurlock under... Oh, Williams, sorry. Dave Douglas and Williams. It's frantic at the front right now, ladies and gentlemen, as we still stay green for lap 73 of 200. Foster, Phelps, Douglas, Williams, Skurlock, your top 5. Raymond, DeGraff, Nankervis, Jager, and Spencer now sees himself inside the top 10. Billy Hickey, he's dropped out. He's now back into 16th. About this time as well, ladies and gentlemen, these drivers need to find their groove. They need to just focus on getting through the next 100-odd laps, making that dive right at the end. Nothing is won on the first lap as Douglas is now going to have a look on Phelps. He's got a fairly good run. Skurlock under Williams. Williams drops down to the midline just to see if there's a little bit more grip level. Test some things out. It's the perfect time to do it. Douglas and Skurlock now swap positions. Skurlock to the low line. He's making it work. He's trying to get it rubbered up, and he's got the run on Phelps here now as well. Skurlock's got some serious pace. Michael Skurlock, he's come from back down in 7th, and he's now up and battling for 3rd. He's in 3rd, he's in 2nd. Skurlock on the low line. As Phelps tries to get the toe from Foster and gets it. But Skurlock's still there. He's going to drop down to the low line again and try it once more. DeGraff and Williams battling out on the low line as well in the background. Skurlock goes really low. Can he get the run on Phelps now? Going to have a run on Eddie Foster too. While he's at it. This is a great battle for first position right now, ladies and gentlemen. Edwards, Skurlock, and Phelps. Douglas hanging back. We're trying to see what these guys are going to do. Making 5 or so laps for Skurlock to get Phelps. By the looks, he might be able to get it done right now. Phelps just gets that little bit of advantage with Foster. He gets that toe off the high line. Looks like Skurlock's finally got the move done. He's going to stay to that low line. It's working for him. He's now going to challenge Foster for the lead. Below the white line again, Skurlock. Lap 78 now. Now officially 2nd position over Phelps. Finally got the move done after 6 laps. He's moving. Dave Douglas just waiting to see what's going to happen. Is it going to be a big incident? Is it not? But he's going to try the low line as well. He saw Skurlock go down there. He thought it made it work. Douglas gets around Phelps. Phelps might be running out of tyres because he's now dropped a long way back off Edward Foster. Maybe a little bit of a mistake. The momentum loss. Raymond Jager, he's sitting nicely down there in 5th position right now. Waiting to see what these leaders do. They're checking out DeGraff, 2.3 seconds away from this battle pack right now. But he's got Matthew Raymond, Steve Williams, Jamie Nane Curves, and Brad Allison for company. On board now from the roof of Edward Foster. And he's got Sherlock all over his rear spoiler. Go back and have a look at Williams, and Curvis, Allison. Just in front of them, DeGraff and Jaeger. Just stretching out now the entire field. Marco Hansen, he's made his way up into 19th now after being a lap down, so he's back on the move in the car finally. Carl Withy relieved JP of some commentary duties. He's now seen himself up in 30th. He's made up some spots from the lap drivers that have retired. Those retired drivers are Pat, Dyson, Schultz, and Smith. Oh, Schultz back out on the track. I'm watching his lap time and tick over. So Schultz has finally got those drastic repairs done to try and tick over some laps to get those championship points. But Pat, Dyson, Schultz, Jai Schultz, Mark Smith, and Brad Fenley, they're our retirees of the race so far. Adam Malone as well, another retiree of the race very recently. These are only 12 laps down. It wasn't that long ago. 22 cars remain on the lead lap now. Another yellow. We'll see Reese, May, and Stuart Patterson get a wave around. That'll put them back on the lead lap and go 24 on the lead lap. After that, the rest are all 8 and beyond laps down. This battle at the front of the field, ladies and gentlemen, is starting to really spice up. Jaeger now on the back of them all. Phelps slowing down drastically though. Not at a rapid rate of knots, but enough to fall back from him. Then he peels his way back in. Then Jaeger goes to the bottom of Phelps. Can Jaeger now get into 4th position? The low line. Gerlach goes. Made it work. He's in front of Foster. Foster back around the high line. JP, this battle has been going on for laps now for the lead. And it's only lap 84. We've got good green flag racing finally under our belt. The tyres are up there. And a few drivers, one being possibly Ruben Phelps, are starting to drop away slowly on him.
Yeah, they're doing really well now. They've got their rhythm together and they're moving on. The one downside that this is going to create, obviously this kind of racing is going to shorten their tyre life.
This is where we're going to start seeing all those guys that were trying to save on those tyres and try and bank on another yellow. This is going to cost them drastically. They're going to have to wait this out. They're going to either have to pit under green. No one likes pitting under green, as Billy Hickey said. Just going to have to wait this out, wait the fight out, and try and make as many moves as they possibly can to keep on the lead pack. Oh, looks good out there. Right here, JP. So what better time? Maybe jump on board with Raymond Jaeger. He's at the back of this battle pack right now of the top 5. Might jump on board with Raymond Jaeger for a crank up the volume. He's on the low line right now under Phelps. So this is going to be an interesting battle to get a good almost driver's point of view as well from the number 23 of Raymond Jaeger. Crank up the volume, ladies and gentlemen, as we watch Raymond Jaeger get to work inside the top 5 for the lead. gentlemen. How about that? On board with Raymond Jaeger as he battles in the top 5 and he gets Dave Douglas. He's now into 4th position. Couple green flag pit stops were undertaken. Reese May, Billy Hickey, they're in the pits for some repairs. So something's happened with them while we've been on board for a crank up the volume moment there for the Honeybees 300. Lap 92 of 200 now. See a lot of cars supporting a lot of front end damage. Races have not gone their way tonight. Getting out of the way of the leaders in the fast charging leader pack. They've skipped out over 6 seconds over Matty Raymond. That's how quick these guys are moving right now, ladies and gentlemen. Raymond Jaeger is going to the low line. Ruben Phelps. A great little battle pack right now. They keep going like this. It's going to be who's got the guts to make the first move into pit lane under green flag racing. Edward Foster, Michael Skurlock, Ruben Phelps, Raymond Jaeger, Dave Douglas with top 5. 6 seconds back to Matty Raymond, who's battling it out right now with Dion DeGraff, Andy Barber, Matt Ellison, Jamie Nankervis. That's your top 10. And Stephen Williams once again. He's only 4/10 away from Nankervis right now. Williams wants back inside that top 10. Andy Barber, Matty Raymond, biggest movers so far inside the top 10 at 25 places apiece right now. Adam Ariel currently in pit lane. He had just had a 17-second pit stop, so that's going to put him a lap down along with Justin Owen as well. Billy Hickey has found his way into the medical center, so a big hit for Billy Hickey at some point in the field. Carl Withy still circulating around in the back of the field. Drag Billy up into here, find out why he's in the medical center right now as we watch this battle pack still liven up as Raymond Jaeger tries to get past Ruben Phelps for that 3rd position. Billy, mate, currently 9 laps down in the pit lane. What in the world has happened to you?
Oh yeah, just one of those things really. Just before the last restart, I had my 2 teammates in front of me. They were a couple of laps down. I got the lucky one, so I was able to go around that back. And for some reason or not, a couple of cars in front checked up and just cheated into each other, and I think I lost the front end of the car. So I thought it was just tyres, but yeah, it struggled with handling and dropped the pace. Yeah, because of the damage, I just kept the wall and sliding about a bit. So bit of an unfortunate night really in that respect. It's just a bit of pain when you're trying to get a restart. Check up the just the way it is.
It is the way it is. Unfortunately, that is racing. I know all about it. I mean, I just had it on the weekend go at my state title for the dirt track oval stuff, and I mean, it didn't put me out for the night, but I definitely felt the pain of a bent car trying to muscle that around in a B main. So definitely know your pain there, mate. It's definitely is hard. And it's Ed Foster now. Ed Foster, big moment here for Ed Foster. He dives off the lead pace right now into pit lane under green flag. What's this going to do for him? We'll let you know and keep you up to date. He's plummeting down the order under green flag. Obviously, that's what no one likes to do. As Skurlock rubs right up against the wall down the back chute, ladies and gentlemen. He's lost no momentum, and that's helped Phelps as well. Douglas has got past Jaeger, so Jaeger's made a little bit of a moment somewhere. Phelps now into the pits as well.
It's certainly hotting up. I remember saying earlier that you don't want to pit under green, and they're all starting to do it. And I would say more than likely the tyres are absolutely buggered, or they're running out of fuel. So yeah,
Mate,
looking at some on footage, I'd say that they're running out of fuel.
they're still on the pace. So 31.17 last time round for Skurlock. So he's not far off lap record pace around here of Aiden Schultz. I mean, Schultz was only a 30.6. Skurlock's still doing a 31.1. So that's still on the pace for Skurlock right there. I mean, obviously when it comes to NASCAR racing, tenths of a second is almost like 3 seconds in the V8 supercar world. It's a lot of time to try and make up around an oval track, especially when you're going so fast. But I mean, the track looks like it's rubbering up in the high line, and finally that low line looks to be coming alive. We've seen a lot of moves get done. Skurlock was able to make the move on the low line. Gaga as well was able to finally get the move done on the low line as well for a few positions. So that low line's starting to finally come alive, Billy.
Yeah, it's certainly. I mean, I've always been a big fan of the low line. In my opinion, that's the racing line. But just in the latter part of my last stint there, I managed to get into the high line and it was actually rather quick. But once you, the problem is being in that high line is you run the risk of being so it's quick. The bottom line certainly is quick, but I think the top.
Then a few cars got a little bit loose coming out of turns 1 and 2 there, though, Billy. It looks like that corner is extremely tricky tonight for every driver out on track. Currently, ladies and gentlemen, 10 cars on the lead lap under green flag racing stops are making their way in and through and make that 7. Make that 7 cars. It'll sort itself out, obviously, once it'll sort itself out once Skurlock, Douglas, Gaga, Graf, Barber, Allison, Clark come in. It doesn't look like they're coming in anytime soon. Last pit stop was lap 48. Let's call it average of 47 for these guys. So they're coming up on the time where they need a pit. Yes, there's been a couple safety cars to help these guys out, but they really need to start thinking about fuel right now. And Skurlock, 31.1 last time round, 31.17 last time round. So he's not dropping off the pace, Billy. He's going, excuse the language, or not the language, but balls to the wall right now. I mean, he's trying to make the most of it to try and get that jump over Ed Foster. Ed Foster will obviously have fresh tyres on, but as we all know, it takes 5, 6, 7, 8 laps to get these tyres back up to temp.
Out to the exit of turn 2, that is hard to get right at the exit. Because of the nature of the fact that the track goes from being banked at a certain degree to not being totally flat, but almost flat, feels like a flat car. And you're coming up the track at speed as well with cars go down. So it's easy for the car to either understeer where the front wants to go to, oversteer with the back to take the front. So it's certainly difficult for those who spend time in practice.
Ed Foster currently sitting in 7th position, a lap down under green flag racing, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Skurlock is still yet to pit. Got Dave Douglas for company not far behind him, just over half a second behind him. 10 seconds down the track is Andy Barber. Dion DeGraff still yet to hit. Brad Allison still yet to hit as well. So, look, lap 109 of 200, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be do or die time right now for these guys to jump into the pit. They'd be running on the smell of an oily rag right about now as they come down the back chute. So I wouldn't be surprised right now, Billy, if Skurlock jumps down onto the low line and goes for a pit this lap or next lap.
Well, I was just looking at, that's what I was just going to say, I was just looking at Skurlock, turns 1 and 2, and he is buttoning off a lot more than you expect, so I would say that he is too far away from pitting. When that sort of thing happens, you've sort of got to slow up a lot to help the car get around the tyres and carry too much speed. In the exit, you're going to take the overlap, so you can see Skurlock overlap one of my cars actually. So it's a balance, a very fine balance, and it's how long do you go until? I mean, obviously you can look at fuel. How long do you go until you run out of tyres? You start being slower.
Well, it was actually, I've got my times mixed up right there as well, Billy, and ladies and gentlemen. It's last lap wasn't a 31.17. His best lap is a 31.17. So that's his fastest lap of the race. His his last lap was the 32.5 though. So he's in hindsight, he's only 2 seconds off the pace, which is actually quite a lot. So he'd be coming in for fuel and tyres at lap 111 at 200 now. So he's trying to stretch this out as far as he can, but he's only hurting himself. And JP, we know in the world of V8 supercars, when we see drivers doing this, it's just causing them a world of pain by staying out.
Yeah, 100%, and especially in the situation like this, when you've got the other driver on fresh tyres, he's going to be making headway, so he'll get that undercut. Having said that, though, I mean, Michael Skurlock is going to run his tank to the very end, hoping on a caution period.
Dave Douglas right on the back spoiler now of Michael Skurlock. So Dave Douglas has tried to put in a quick couple laps at the end here before he dives into pit lane. So watch for these two right now. Douglas right under the rear wing now, got the toe. Skurl into the bottom. Barely slow down. No. Maybe. No. Keeps going around for another lap. But look at this. Douglas around the top. The Skurlock. He's run out of steam. The tyres have gone. The fuel is low for Skurlock. This isn't good. It's going to hurt him a lot more.
I think
Foster is only 18 seconds down the road from these guys.
I think he's run out of fuel, Matt. I genuinely think he's run out of fuel. Just listening to his car now, and I think he might have coughed a wee bit there. So yeah, here he goes. He's coming down pit lane now. He's just announced, and Dave Douglas is as well. So there you go.
Here we are. So the live stream of Billy, you can hear the drivers talking in the background there, just to let the other cars. I mean, it's very tricky as well, as we see Ed Foster go around right now. He's going to try and unlap himself right here. He's got a lot of work to do to make this one of the quickest laps that he's ever done. Be able to pick these guys on pit lane. Douglas and Skurlock in their pit boxes now, along with Ellis. What can Foster do here? He's coming through 3 and 4 now. The drivers call out. It's a fast track coming into pit lane, so they're going to go to the bottom. Let other drivers know. That's the joys about the sim world. Douglas is out. Douglas is out of the pit box. So is Skurlock. But Foster is gone around the outside, and he's going to capitalise on this along with Phelps. Douglas and Skurlock find themselves out in 4th and 5th position. But Foster, he's got a 3.5 second lead over Ruben Phelps. How long is that going to last for? The tyres are going to come up to 10th for Douglas and Skurlock. Those guys will be able to fire up a little bit quicker than what these guys are. These tyres are going to start fading away very shortly. But Foster, he's capitalised. He's done the early dive in. He was the first of the leaders to drop in. And now he's got himself a 3.6 second lead, Billy. And what a move by Edward Foster.
Oh, look, it works. You know, they're obviously all on totally different strategies, and it's it's just a matter of sort of resetting themselves. The problem is with Skurly and Dave is that they were out there too long. So now they're 11, 12 seconds behind Foster, whereas when Foster pitted, the gap probably wouldn't have been that big. So Foster and pitting when he did, going in early, and Skurly and Dave staying out longer, they may have been left, it's ultimately hurt them. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out and how they all sort of line up towards the latter part of the race.
Foster's last lap, 31.8. So he's not on the button. He's not on the loud pedal, but he's still trying to make a move. And he's got no one around him to assist him. He's only got lapped cars to try and give him a bit of a slipstream, bit of a nudge, and a little bit more of a time. Ruben Phelps just comes across the line of 32.07. Douglas 31.4. So you can see the difference between tyres there, ladies and gentlemen, just between a few laps. Foster 31.9. Douglas, who just pitted 31.4. So there's a good half, 4/10 to half a second there, ladies and gentlemen, between time distance differences of new tyres and 20 lap old tyres. So these guys have got to have their work cut out for them. Lap 119 of 200. We've gone over half race distance now, coming up to nearly 75% of race distance.
And it's interesting also to see, Matt, that even on new tyres, Ed's still running high lines back at Phelps. He's sort of right to mid-ish, and then further on down the field, so Phelps has actually gone high. He's obviously noticed that Ed's working against as well. So it's interesting to see how it all works with Douglas is still running high. As Skirley's running low at the moment, actually, and Raymond Gaga just been passed, running high too. So it's interesting to see, as like I was saying earlier, track promotion.
Well, we've been seeing a few moves done, especially by Skirley. He's made that low line really work for him. He actually managed to get the lead of the race by using that low line, and it really worked for him, and he rubbered it right in and dropped right below the white line as well as he came across the start-finish line, and then jumped back up, which would unsettle the car. I mean, there is a good 5 to 10 degrees worth of banking as they come through across the start-finish line there in the tri-oval part. So a little bit of banging, which means it upsets the car. It's a little busy as they drop onto that low line, but by the looks of it, they're making it work, and they're starting to rubber up. So watch for that. I reckon watch for that low line later on, ladies and gentlemen, because that low line, I reckon, is really, really going to come alive in the last 50 laps of this race, let's say, Billy.
Yeah, I think when the heat comes on later on, it's probably going to work in some people's favour. You'll run on a certain part of the track. That's what works. It appears to be working for everyone else. But when you're in the heat of the moment and your battery, they can get pretty tight. It's fast. You're fast down. One car A, the completely fast down low material up tight. So that's why car B top. They're having a hard battle, and that's when they're going to run. Just running conventionally like we are at the moment. It's sort of the done, and much happen, then you sort of just settle into a go that high, and to drive down the next straight, they can track but as the laps tick by, you can start to adapt how it's going. You might move down but like I was saying, pick that battle, you go where it's fast.
All about who's got the big kahunas on these fixed setups, isn't it, Billy? On board at the moment with Scotty McClintock, I believe. Yes, Scotty McClintock on screen at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. He's currently sitting down in 13th position and watching this battle go on between... we're back to Matty Raymond and Raymond Jager at the moment. Yeah, try and say that twice. 3 times really fast.
Raymond and Jager.
Matty Raymond Jager. Yeah, that's a really tough one. And this is a good little battle right now, ladies and gentlemen, for Jager to get himself inside the top 5 again. Foster's now he's out to a 4.2 second lead, so the man to beat right now is Edward Foster, and the lead he's got now to Dave Douglas. Reeling in Ruben Phelps right now is down to a second, under a second now. So Phelps' car is not working for him right now because he's dropping at a great rate of knots. Dave Douglas is really reeling in, and I'm watching the timing board right now, Billy, and it's dropping by 1/10 of a second every second almost. So he's starting to reel him in, and Douglas has found some form of line to work over Phelps. 31.5 last time round for Douglas. Edward Foster, who's dropped down to a 32.8. So those new tyres for Douglas really working well for him. Mate, repairs for you, they sure that almost done, or are you going to call it a night, you reckon, or?
Freshly done. I'm not sure if I'll get back out there and and do some more laps, to be quite honest. See, just gonna keep on without the stewards, so about laps down. So there's much point in going back out.
Well, if the rules haven't changed, and it's still the 25% race this is classified, Billy, then you are certainly classified for championship points. So, why not, kick back, crack a cold one, and watch the boys race on. But I mean, if it is the 50%, I think you might have to get cracking on a couple more laps to get to that 50% race distance just to get those classified. So, but nevertheless, if you can score some championship points, that'd be better for yourself at the overall end of the season. You never know, being consistent, even if it is having a classification towards the back of the field, maybe improve volume. You never know what's going to happen later on. It's a very, very long season to pull out.
Absolutely, it's a long year. There's a lot you need to think about. I mean, I'm championship will be not anytime soon anyway, but.
You never know what could happen, mate. The fat lady hasn't sung right yet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's there's a lot to think about. It's the problem is I always look at it from a third person kind of perspective, because you need to put it in the big picture. You're in the heat of the moment. You want to make a rash move or something stupid, you just race. You got to think about the big picture.
Oh, 100. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Billy Hickey from the Iridium Simsport team, number 26. Unfortunately, saw himself in the medical centre along with Carl Withy, who's now circulating in 28th position. He was at the rear of the field. He's now made his way up back to 28th. So he's still circulating around, getting those laps in, learning the car, and he's back up there. But Billy, mate, we'll bid you farewell for the meantime. We're lap 132 of 200 now, so we might drag you back in around the 170, 180 mark, I'd say, for the final couple laps, and get a quick word from you, see what your field report may be, and maybe you might be able to give us a bit of an insight to how this track is starting to rubber up later on in the race.
Yeah, no worries at all, man. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Billy. Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Hickey, number 26, joining us in for a nice little chat once again. And unfortunately, JP, another car bites the dust, and that's, I believe, going to be car number 8, I think, for the requirements tonight, which is a shame. But we're currently still under green flag racing, 11 cars on the lead lap, and this is the longest time we've gone green all night long.
Yeah, absolutely. And motor racing is a very fickle mistress, and a lot of drivers tonight have run afoul of I guess the motor racing curse. But really, I mean, look, everyone's gotten into a rhythm now that they've settled in, their tyres have bedded in, and so things are a little bit better now. They're not pushing as hard. Before it was very much a case of pace cars or caution periods, breeding caution periods. Get a few laps under your belt, somebody pushes just that little bit too hard and the back end of the car steps out. And you notice it with these cars, the back end steps out, the driver tries to correct it, it's an overcorrection, and then it just flicks the opposite direction, and 9 times out of 10, it's straight into the wall.
9 times out of 10, it's actually probably better just to let the car slide down to the bottom of the field, because you've got, more of a chance to save it sliding down the track than you do trying to hold that slide. And I mean, trying to hold a slide at 300 kilometers an hour. I'm no drifter, mate, and definitely no professional racer, even though I do race speedway. But I'm no professional racer, but I know at 300 kilometers an hour, you're not going to be able to hold a slide and bring it back.
Yeah, look, I drove these cars when they first came out, and I was actually quite happy with them, and they felt quite predictable. Admittedly, I was driving it on a track. I took it out to Watkins Glen, and I put the car through its paces, and I was quite enjoying the feel of the car. There have been a lot of changes, a lot of updates to the car since then, so I don't quite know how it behaves these days. But a lot of the drivers are saying the car's fairly sketchy on the tyres. It's taking a little bit longer for them to sort of come up to pressure. but they're also lasting a lot longer for them. So the guys are getting a lot more laps out of the tyres before there's a big drop-off.
Well, we go to Watkins Glen next week as well, so that's going to be a very interesting race. It's a circuit race as well, so it's not just turning left anymore, ladies and gentlemen. These guys are actually going to have to turn these things right and figure out how they're going to handle turning right. So next week's race is definitely going to be a very big race around Watkins Glen. And unfortunately, Zach Caban and myself won't be there for that one to stream that. I've got myself a ladies title in the real world to go crew chief for at this stage, and weather pending. Obviously, it is Melbourne 4 Seasons one day down here, and who knows what could happen to Zach Caban as well. That might get difficulties up there. So at this stage, we're both out of the hot seat, but tonight you've got Matt Davis and JP in the hot seat for you with the Honey B300, the custom paint and diecast Australian Stock Car Championship at Kansas Speedway, ladies and gentlemen. And a little bit of fun fact as well for this one, as we get into some single file long racing. Oh no! As we say that, Billy Hickey, he's come back out on the track. He goes, "Oh, I'll give it a lick and see what we're gonna do," and he just gets a little bit loose out of turn 4 onto the main straight. That's definitely going to be Billy Hickey's night done now. Look at that. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Tried to power through it, and around and around and around he goes around the merry-go-round. But Billy Hickey wipes out the front of his car again. He's going to go back into pit lane. We bring out a caution, which means Ed Foster's lead of over 4.5 seconds is now down the drain. And Dave Douglas, look at that, got the tail up. That's the whole point of aerodynamics, ladies and gentlemen, to stop that from happening. And his aerodynamics were long gone at that stage. So, but Dave Douglas is now caught up to Ed Foster. They're in the pits. They're coming in for the last pit stop. They reckon they can make it home from here. 60 laps to go. By the time they get racing, it should be about 56 to go. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now watching the final pit stops. Tires, fuel, everything of the above, everything they can do. Those last couple seconds of the repairs, if they've had any. As the pace car goes round. Tires both sides for Foster. Tires one side. Oh, they bend to the line. Foster beats Douglas to the line. Oh, Douglas bet Foster to the line by looks at by a bumper. Might have to get a camera angle on that one, I think, because that was very, very close. We know how racy Foster can be. But this, JP, really, really now livens up the race. You've got half the field, if not the entire field, on brand new tires, shiny slicks. They're cold. They're going to have to try and get the heat into them as quick as they can on this pace car. And then they have to go green flag racing to the end and try and get the heat into them.
My volume's gone. Yeah, you know, at this stage, they're going to pull out all the stops going to the last sector of the race here. All of them have got fresh tyres. It's going to be interesting, though. I thought Foster might have beaten Douglas to the line. Having said that, though, we were at the wrong angle. If Douglas has beaten Foster to the line, all well and good. If he hasn't, he will have to give up that spot, because I believe that might cause a penalty on the restart.
Maybe. We'll obviously find out very shortly what's going to happen right now as they start to form up behind the pace car. Lap 142 of 200, so 58 laps to go.
But we're getting some inside information here from Ed Foster's crew chief, Abigail Foster. Ed was managing the lead really nicely. He let Dave get to about 4.5 seconds and Skurlock get to about 7.5 seconds, and then he just held them there. Now, the one thing that Ed Foster does remarkably well is save his tyres. He knows how to go the distance on his tyres. So he was just managing the race there. So on this restart, let's see what he does. I reckon his goal is going to be to get out in front, pull that lead again, and then just do the same thing, manage the race from there.
Very lucky with, well, not lucky, but he called the strategy right, didn't he, JP? And he managed to get that strategy work to a T. He was out to 3.5 seconds over Phelps, and then by the time Douglas got round Phelps and started to try and hunt down Foster, Douglas's tyres were just long gone, and Foster had already built up a 4.5 second lead and just maintained it. So he played that incredibly well, and that had gone green flag to the end, ladies and gentlemen. We would have seen probably what would have been the most interesting green flag pit stops we've ever seen. And Skirley and Douglas would have had to have made some form of dire move to try and reel Foster back in with some sort of strategy call. But it looks like Douglas has got the spot on Foster right now, JP. It looks like he bent him to the line, and I reckon there was a whisk. I reckon there would have been a Mustang badge in that, I reckon.
There wouldn't have been much in it at all, as they would have said in America, would have been 1/16 of an inch.
We talk centimeters over here, ladies and gentlemen. We use the proper measuring rule, centimeters and millimeters, not inches. And safety car, pace car pulls off. Douglas has control of the field. What's Foster going to do? Douglas gets the jump. Foster goes with.
Nice
Phelps
jump from Douglas.
Very nice jump by Douglas. He surprised Foster very well right there. Into turns 1 and 2 they come. That was the 7th pace car for the race. And look at that. Foster's already there.
Yeah, Foster's not wasting any time.
Low line Foster. Down the low line Foster goes. Douglas stays high. Can Foster get the pace up on these cold tyres? What are they like across the control line? Douglas in the lead for the meantime. Foster saw how much Skirley made that low line work. He's going to try and make it work for him. He stays mid to high right now. Douglas gets a little bit squirmy. Foster tries to get out of the way.
Look at this.
Look at this battle pack for the lead right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is big. Top 10 for the battle, for the lead. Top 9. Brenton Henderson, 2.5 seconds back. Foster and Douglas go side by side. They touch ever so slightly, and Foster through the corner. Douglas has lost the momentum, and Foster back to the lead.
Yeah,
Shirley just behind them now.
I don't want to correct you on this, but Foster actually did something really smart there. There was no touch between them, but Foster held Douglas up high. So he held him up high, so Douglas actually had to sort of lift off. That gave Foster that run that he needed to get in front of Douglas. He's done that a couple of times tonight. Really smart move.
Very, very smart move. Very good eyes as well there by our director, JP. Not only on the computer trying to get you those camera angles, but he's got the eye of touch, and I guess that's what you like when you've driven these cars quite numerous of times, and you know how they react, I guess. Look at that. Foster now, he was out to a half-second lead over Douglas, and Douglas has just pulled him back in ever so slightly now as he gets the drag down the back chute. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Top 9 battle for the lead. What a magnificent little battle pack we've got right now. Foster, Douglas, Skurlock, Phelps, Raymond, DeGraff, Barber and Jager, Jordan, and
here we go.
Now, so it's top 8. So now Douglas to the bottom. Douglas to the bottom, and yellow. We got another yellow. So, Drew Cause brought this one out. I think this might have been...
Looks like Greg Spencer and Scott McClintock.
Oh, no! Spencer just gets caught up in it all. As we always say, safety car breeds safety car. Well, pace cars breed pace cars in the American version. We have now for the 8th time tonight, ladies and gentlemen, out of 100, and almost gone to the 75% race distance. We'll go 75% race distance under pace car, under yellow. We would have had 8 pace cars out for the night. This is going to really test the strength of the drivers now, JP. We saw last time how we have a string of 2-3 pace cars come out. Really upsets the drivers. Plays with the mental state. It's really going to hurt these guys. It's not just their mentality, but the tyres on these cars with cooling down.
Well, that's the thing. These guys, you know, the lead drivers, they know how to manage these cars. They know how to, I guess, keep them in a straight line, for want of a better word. Unfortunately, the guys down the tail end of the field, they're all coming they're falling victim to the same sort of curse. The car steps out on them a little bit. They try to recover, and it's an over recover, and they just can't do it. That time before, though, with Greg Spencer and Scott McClintock, looks like they both came together, and that was the cause of that incident.
Yeah, one came down and one came up, and unfortunately, 2 cars can't fit in the same bit of real estate. Unfortunately, that's just what happens when you're in, 2 ton of steel and fiberglass and steel and roll cage and everything else, and that's what happens. So you can't really share the same bit of real estate with one another, and when they come together, things go ugly, and they go ugly very quickly at 300 kilometers an hour. Just talk in miles an hour and talking about 180 mile an hour. So we are in the Yankee verse over here in America, in Kansas City, ladies and gentlemen, in Village West area. Yeah, a little bit of fun facts for you under safety car of pace car right now. Ground was broken for the build in 1999, and it was opened in 2001 with a cost of $240,000 US. So in this current state in time, quickly do the old Google search on the interwebs right now, ladies and gentlemen, and be able to get you a transfer number of that one, or the currency exchange, should I say? It would be $323,246.16 AUD. So that's how much it cost back in 2001. And the track brings the US local economy each year $243 million, and that's US as well, ladies and gentlemen. So for a track that cost them 240,000 US, I think that's a pretty good return with 243 million a year. So that's definitely a big return right there. And obviously, fastest cup car is Kevin Harvick around here in 27.3 seconds. Drivers with the most wins, and they're all tied right now. Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, and Danny Hamlin all have 4 wins apiece around this track. 2012, the Hollywood Casino, which overlooks the track at Turn 2. It boasts 2,000 slot machines, 52 gaming tables. That was built. And the safe barriers were extended around 1.28 miles of the existing concrete retaining walls between 1 and 2, also 3 and 4, and along most of the front stretch. So a little bit of fun facts for you about Kansas City Speedway right now, ladies and gentlemen. But the lights are out on the pace car as they come down the back chute. That will peel away, which means Ed Foster will have control of the field for yet again another time tonight. I've lost count how many times we've had lead changes. I've lost how many times Ed Foster has had the control of the field, along with Dave Douglas as well. He's had control of the field quite a number of times as well. But the pace car will peel down in a matter of seconds right now. We will go green flag racing and start lap 153 of 200, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a dash to the finish. Green flag's in the air. Foster goes. He gets a good jump. Foster gets a magnificent jump. 0.3 of a second straight away. Into turns 1 and 2 they go. Skirley goes to the bottom under Douglas. He's going to try and get that position away very, very quickly and try and hunt down Foster. Phelps is going to hold back there as well. Matthew Raymond's just looking on the inside, on the top side there, should I say. Waiting for something to happen. And Andy Barber, he's come out of nowhere into 6th position, and he's made 27 position so far for the night. Magnificent drive so far for Andy Barber. Look at this scrap now. Top 9. Might go top 7 once the graph falls a little bit if he does. He's managed to claw his way back after having a horrible start to the race. All on the high line except one. I think that might have been De Graaf who was running that low line. They've made themselves 3 seconds over Henderson right now, currently sitting in 10th. Made themselves out 3.8 over Henderson. So it's a battle for the lead with the top 9 right now. Alps goes by Douglas on the low line. He's got the run on Foster. Now Douglas goes to the low line. They're switching, they're changing. This is bad on cold tyres. This could go anywhere. 156 to 200. They're going to click away quicker than you can blink, ladies and gentlemen. Raymond Gaga, fastest lap of the race on lap 155 at 31.12. That's 5/100 quicker than what Skirley did earlier on in the race. Look at this. It is action on. 31.4, 31.3, 31.4, 31.2. They're all in the low 31s on this restart. Trying to skip away. Andy Barber's pulled out a bit of a gap over to Graf. 0.8 of a second right now. Raymond Jagger goes down 1 position. He's now in 7th. Barber goes to 6th. But it's Foster leading the way. And he's led strong all night so far. Another lap in the books. JP, Edward Foster, last year's winner, and he's looking strong out the front of the field, but it's not just now that he's looking strong. He's looked strong all night. He's been able to play the games of the boys. He's sat there and he's made a move when he had to, and I don't think he showed his cards, all his cards yet.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say he's dominated tonight, but he has been in control of the race. Once he got out the front, he controlled the race, and I think that's what he's doing now. He's controlling the race. He's controlling it from the front. He knows what the guys behind him are like. He's raced with them before. He's got confidence in them. So yeah, look, I think he's in a good spot at the moment. But I have had a bit of inside information. They may need to do one more stop before this is over.
A little bit of more fuel than what they thought they would need. That's the story we've been told, ladies and gentlemen. One more splash and dash. I think that's going to help them right now. One more safety car. Big thanks tonight goes out to Billy Hickey, our special guest. Might drag him up for one more quick conversation. Another big shout out goes to Carl Withy, who joined us for a good period, about half an hour there. He found himself in the medical center and joined us there and took over for a little bit whilst we had some technical difficulties, and JP was busy behind the screens trying to get that fixed for you, and we've finally got that sorted right now for you and gone back to live images, clean live images finally. Get to see what the end of this race is going to do. 40 laps to go. This 200 lap, 300 mile event. Dry oval track racing, new cars, new setups, a whole lot of learning to do. Down the back chute they go for yet another time. Edward Foster in control. over this charging Douglas, Phelps, Skurlock, and Raymond. They've skipped away from Andy Barber, so it's a battle. The top five. The top five now are battling it out for the lead. Andy Barber 1.8 seconds away from this battle pack right now. He's currently sitting in 6th. Mark Johansson still circulating out there. Couple laps down at this point in time, but he's currently sitting in 18th. He's up 8 from where he started, in 24th position tonight. 26, my apologies if I do my maths correct. Obviously, maths isn't a forte of mine. That's why I don't do diff gear ratios. That is the other reason why. Lap 164 of 200. Why don't we, just before the race ends, ladies and gentlemen, might grab one more onboard shot. Crank up the volume moment as we race around. Looks like Ruben Phelps is right in the thick of this one. Just put a move on Skirley there. He's got the drive. So we'll jump on board with Ruben Phelps, ladies and gentlemen. He's right in the thick of it. He's right in the middle of the battle pack. Going to be fighting for it. He wants that podium. He wants the win. So crank up the volume, ladies and gentlemen, as we ride shotgun with Ruben Phelps in the Goodyear Auto Care Warana Sim Sports. I think it's a Ford Mustang he's running in. Would I be correct, JP?
Hell no.
It is the Chevy Camaro. Ladies and gentlemen, Ruben Phelps, crank up the volume. Ladies and gentlemen, crank up the volume on board with Ruben Phelps. In the thick of this battle pack right now. Andy Barber's found himself back onto the train of this. Somehow Andy Barber's found some pace in the car. It's a six-way battle for the lead right now. If they're smart enough, JPs were talking off air. Right. For a second just there. These guys, if they're smart enough and that they play the cards right, if they do, if the inside word is true, they do have to stop under green flag for some unknown reason to grab a quick splash and dash. These guys trailing Ed Posso really be using that slip stream to the advantage, and I think Skurlock and Douglas are trying to do that right now. We see him tucked right in under the rear wing there. And, that could call for, may only be a couple tenths of a second, but in pit lane, that could mean a bumper car or a bumper of the car leading across the pit line there, or it could be half a car.
Well, interestingly enough, I think they're all playing a bit of a fuel game at the moment. I think let's see if we can jump on board with Foster's car and have a look at his dashboard and see if we can get an idea as to if he's saving a bit of fuel.
Let's jump on board of Edward Foster. Have a listen, ladies and gentlemen, crank it round. Across the start, finish line. Listen here into turns 1 and 2, what he does.
I'm not getting the impression that there's any fuel saving going on there.
I don't think so either, JP. It sounds like they're balls to the wall and they're going for it. And I think this is going to be a very close call. If they can make it to the finish line on I think they filled up, well, last lap was 140. So that's going to be 60 laps to the finish. And I believe Mark Johansson said, very start of the broadcast, still circulating, so I won't drag him up into the room just yet. But I think Mark Johansson said that they'd only get about 56 laps of fuel out of it. Now, they've had a couple pace cars in between. That'll help them a little bit. But it's not like a normal track where you can clutch in and coast down a hill here and there and try and save that extra little bit of fuel. This fuel saving is going to have to be done on the track at race pace, and by the sounds of it, they're not doing exactly that.
I'd say these guys are hoping for another caution period.
Well, they've skipped away from Ruben Phelps. Ruben Phelps is 1.4 seconds away, so that signifies to me that Phelps is maybe trying to do that little bit of fuel save right now. And maybe his tyres are just starting to fade away. Foster, Skirley, Douglas, these guys have been the chargers all night long. These guys have been battling it out for lap after lap after lap all night long. Slower cars get out of the way. Going to be a close call tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I think we may be seeing a green flag pit stop for a splash and dash. Lap 177 of 200.
I dare you to drag one of the drivers up and ask them.
Oh, that's not going to be good news. I definitely wouldn't want to do that for the top three, JP. That might upset a couple of people. They're in the mood. They're in the mood.
I reckon if you did that, you'd cop a virtual smack in the chops.
I reckon so, JP. If they could punch me from the inside their sim as they could, I reckon I'd definitely be coughing one of them. Closest one I reckon we'd probably be able to get up is Mark Johansson. He's currently running in 18th position, so I don't want to disturb him because he's in the mood as well. I reckon the best person to drag up right now might be Carl Witty. It's Billy Hickey circulating right now? No. See if I can find Billy Hickey. I think he might be with the boys.
Handle.
You up for a captain?
I am. Yep.
Let's go live. Carl Whitney, live in the comms box. Mate, we've had a little bit of insight. Now, we've been told that they might not be able to get to the end of the race on the fuel that they're carrying. Now, I know you're circulating down there in 25th position right now. You're 34 laps down. You're just getting up to practice, getting up, learning the car, and just kicking away at those laps for those crucial championship points. But your insight, mate, from the inside of the car is take us for a flying lap around here as well. What are your thoughts, mate?
Okie dokie. Well, I came in on that last caution just to top up a little bit, and I've got 30 laps remaining in the tank. So I reckon everybody else, they stayed out in that last caution, Okay, so they're going to be quite close on fuel, but the caution will extend it a little bit. So right now, as we come across the start-finish line, we're on board. You'll probably just find they're lifting off a little bit earlier in the corners, just rolling off a little bit, just letting the car breathe a little bit more. And that will just save a little bit of fuel there. So I reckon they've just about got enough fuel, but it's going to be close. It's going to be one of those, might find a couple of the leaders, especially if they are sitting out there in the lead of the race on their own, they will use up a little bit more of the tank than they want. And they could be a little bit touch and go, but with that caution, I think they should be able to just make it with a little bit of fuel saving.
From our point of view, Carl, there wasn't much fuel saving when we jumped on board with them. It sounded like they've gone balls to the wall, and they're really racing their hearts out. But since we're on board with you, mate, take us for a quick lap. Coming down the back, coming into 3 and 4 now. Just give us a bit of an insight in the viewers what it's like to really steer one of these things around Kansas Speedway, and what you've got to do to really get these around and try and save as much fuel as you can.
Sure thing. So as we come across the start-finish line here, you can dip down below here, and that can cut the track a little bit off. Just got to be a bit careful if it does instead of the car. Lifting off into turn 1 and 2 here, you do just drag the brake a tiny little bit, just steady the car off, and then gently on the throttle here, so not to lose the rear end, because it does get very squirrely there, especially off turn number 2. Turn number 3 and 4, again, just a little tiny dab of the brake. So I go a little bit high there, that's not exactly where I want to be. Generally want it to be a tiny bit lower than that. Again, just breathing the car through there, and then coming up to the start-finish line again. Generally, most of us will keep above the tri-oval section there, just keep the car nice and steady. But it can gain you a little bit of time just dropping below there, but you do have to unsettle the car a little bit, and that can cost you in the latter stages of the stint.
Well, we saw how much it unsettled the car. We watched the movement from the steering wheel right then. It did drop down below the white line, how much it did unsettle the car. And we've been watching Skirley do that quite a bit, so that's very interesting to see that he's able to make that work and really keep the tyres live. But on our screens right now, which you can't see, all you're seeing is an oval track right in front of you, but Skirley is right on the back wing of Foster right now. But thank you very much for Carl for giving us a bit of insight and a quick flying lap around Kansas Speedway, mate. We'll see you at the end of the race, no doubt, and good luck till the end, lap 186 200.
Thank you so much, boys. Have a good one.
You too, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Withy in fine form there, giving us a bit of insight what it's like to handle these cup cars around the track. And his insight saying that, JP, that Foster, Skirley and Douglas might be able to make it to the end.
Yeah, look, they've obviously been doing a little bit of fuel saving, and that's all they need really is a little bit of fuel saving. So, yeah, let's see how they go.
Come down the back chute, 187 to 200, ladies and gentlemen, start 188. See the battle first right there. Foster, Skirley, don't worry about Williams and Withy at the top of the board there. This is currently on screen right now. Foster and Skirley. Dave Douglas just hanging back a little bit there, watching what goes on. How about some of these overlays, ladies? Coming up on your screen, showing you every little bit of detail between the laps. Foster and Skirley, the times gained, the times lost. Heads out there. That is what really excites you to watch this stuff. Thank you very much for joining wherever you are joining in from. If you have just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, lap 189 of 200 we've just kicked on to. Foster has been in a demanding lead majority of this race so far. There was a green flag pit stop. Foster did take the lead. Worked out to his favour once everyone else had made their pit stops. He got out to a 4.5 second lead over Skirley and Douglas. And fortunately, the guides have called upon him and the yellow flag dropped, and that bunched the entire field back up. But Foster right now really starting to maintain and control this gap right now. Back to the fighting, Michael Skirlock and Dave Douglas. Ruben Phelps, he's just dropped right off this battle pack. He's now 3.5 seconds down. So that's telling me that Phelps' tyres are done and dusted, JP. And that's unfortunate because Phelps was another contender for tonight. He did make a few runs here and there at the start of the race, and he did lead for a little bit as well.
Yeah, look, hard luck there, but that's racing, unfortunately.
Lap 190, 200 now, ladies and gentlemen. 10 laps to go to the finish as when they come across the line here. Coming up on some lap traffic. They all drop below the white line, allow these faster cars to go by. Stephen Williams, he was right up in the top there, and he's now dropped down to 16th position. He's dropped 14 from where he started from. Currently, your top 10 sits Foster, Skurlock, Douglas, Phelps, Raymond, Barber, Allison, Gaga, Jordan, and Henderson. 9 cars on the lead lap. Raymond Jaeger, he was up there battling with Matthew Raymond and Andy Barber. He's now dropped down to 8. So his tyres have gone as well. 193 of 200 now. It's going to be a race to the finish from here. It's an all-out sprint. Lap traffic plays a part. How's Foster going to manage this with a charging Michael Skurlock? Douglas, he's sitting back there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a battle. I'm excited. 194 now of 200. Sorry, 196. My apology. 195, sorry. Been a long race. Almost 300 miles have been clocked tonight around Kansas Speedway. First of the trials, we head to Watkins Glen next week, and if this is anything to go by, Watkins Glen is going to be superb. Douglas has really fallen off the pack now. His tyres are shot. He's got nothing for him. Now Foster and Skurlock battling it out at the front. What's Skurlock got for Foster now in the dying laps? The yellow would throw the mix into it if the pace car came out. It'd be a green, white, checkered. And it'd be an all-out sprint. Tyres will be hurting. The fuel tanks will be low. Michael Skurlock is falling off Foster. I think Foster's put the boot into it. Foster was 3/10 faster that time round. So Foster's maintained those tyres. He said he was strong on the tyres. And he's done just that. He's now over half a second. And Michael Skurlock and Dave Douglas reel back in the flying Eddie Foster. Last year's race winner, can he go back-to-back at Kansas? 198 of 200. We'll tick these laps away. Ross has gone purple sectors through 1 and 2. He might be going for fastest lap at the end of the race. If you can do that on old tyres, that is something remarkable. 32.2 that time round. It was the second off his best lap of the race. That is still quick. That is flying for old tyres. Some lap traffic's going to help him here. Bit of a slipstream. That's going to allow him to get away from Skurlock even more. 7/10 of a second now. He drops to the low line. 199 of 200, ladies and gentlemen. Edward Foster, if he doesn't put a foot wrong, it's going to be his race to lose. Last lap, white flag in the air. Edward Foster, 8 tenths of a second out over Michael Skurlock, then 6 tenths back to Dave Douglas. He hasn't put a foot wrong all night. He's controlled it. He did the right strategy call. He came in early under green. He got out to a 4.5-second lead before the yellow. And then the whole field bunched back up onto him. But now, Edward Foster coming to the line for the Honeybee 300. Edward Foster is your winner, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Skurlock in second and Dave Douglas in third. And that is your podium. 2 minutes and 11 seconds. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, last year's race to put it in perspective to see how many cautions we had tonight. Hour and 39 minutes Ed Foster did in last year. This year, 2 hours and 11 minutes. After 8 cautions, it's been a long night of racing, but your winner tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is the 53 of Ed Foster from Natari Autosport. And the celebrations begin. JP controlling race by Edward Foster, and it just goes to show. I've just been told JP's having a few technical issues right now, so I'll let him get onto that very, very quickly. Edward Foster has controlled the race all night long. As JP said, ladies and gentlemen, he hasn't been a dominating driver all night, but he's controlled it. Every time he went to the lead, he controlled the race in true fashion, and that is why he's able to go back-to-back wins. What an absolute stellar drive there by Edward Foster. Got pipped on the caution under yellow in the pit stops there by Dave Douglas, and was able to get around him. And there's your finishing table right there, ladies and gentlemen. The one Toyota in it, and it's an even split between Ford and Chevy. Edward Foster, your race winner. Michael Skurlock in second. Dave Douglas rounds out your podium right there. Ruben Phelps had nothing left in the tank at the end of it. His tyres were too far gone. Matthew Raymond rounds out your top 5. Andy Barber, what an absolute stellar performance there by that man. Up 27 positions. Brad Allison, Raymond Jager, Kobe Jordan. And then we start going into the lap down drivers. 9 cars on the lead lap, ladies and gentlemen, finish the race. Dion DeGraff rounds out your top 10 right there. We go over to Brenton Henderson, Jamie Nankervis, Scott McClintock, Tristan Koch, and Stephen Williams rounding out your top 15. We'll let those scroll through for you, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll bring in our podium. Get some driver interviews underway right here, ladies and gentlemen. Because what a race that was coming to the end after a caution-filled night. 8 cautions for the night. That's the most cautions I've ever seen in an oval race, let alone in circuit racing as well. I don't think I've seen that many cautions. Edward Foster brings home the win, mate. We'll start with you, obviously. Such a controlling drive from you, mate. You got out to a 4.5-second lead after some strategy call. You came in under green. You just plucked away at the laps once you came back out, got those heat with the tyres and started to make the move. And unfortunately for Skirley and Douglas, they just stayed out for a couple laps too long, and you were able to reel them in quicker than they could get in.
Yeah, well, I guess, is there a question there, or?
Oh, it's more of a question, more of a long question, I should say. more of a question inside a statement sort of thing, I'd say.
Right, yeah, no, I mean, you kind of summed it up. It was, you know, as you say, a little bit messy at the start, but I mean, 200 lap races, plenty of time for cautions. I mean, the fact that they all came in one spot, I don't think the racing was that bad. There was just a couple of mistakes out there, so yeah, and then it was just a matter of, I mean, you could only really fight fresh rubber, so long as you can hold guys behind you for the first few laps on the tyres. It was pretty easy to hold them back after that. So it's just a case of being real aggressive for those first 5 or 6 laps, and then picking your line and running it.
Mate, we saw towards the end of the race right there, Skirley was all over the rear wing of you. Like he wouldn't let go, and then all of a sudden it was like you found an extra gear in the race car. It's like you clicked into seventh and see you later. You just skipped away. It's more tyre strategy for you there. I mean, it just looked like the car was just handling perfect, and then you were able to step away from him.
No, there was a lot of fuel management going on there. We were very, very tight on fuel on that last stop. So, I was killing the motor under cautions, like actually, turn it off and let it roll
wow.
several times, and did that again when the caution came out again. And then I was like, every time I got a bit of a gap early, I was actually letting off on the straights a bit, to try and save a little bit of fuel. And probably what you saw was when I got the right side on fuel numbers. As soon as I got the right side on fuel numbers, I was able to go. Yeah.
That's where the pace difference just kicked up into another gear, and that just goes to show. So we actually came to an onboard shot. JP and I shot over to an onboard shot of you, and we thought, no, it doesn't sound like he's actually he's letting off a little bit. It sounds like he's still going balls to the wall. And sure enough, you disguised it so well. It was like it was, as Mr. Bean says, it was magic, as he likes to say. So disguised that really, really well, mate. And we actually thought it was a hard fought race there at the end there, and it obviously came down to who could save tyres and the fuel the most.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot harder to be behind somebody as well. So, like I say, after the tyres got a few laps on them, it's really hard to overtake. You can sort of overtake on those first couple of laps after the caution. You guys send big dives down, and I did a few myself. But after that, it's a lot harder. So, I mean, I always sort of prefer to have a car right on my bumper than about half a second behind, just because you can sort of you've got a better idea of what they're doing. You can keep a better eye on them and stuff like that. So I was quite happy to bring Skirley in close, knowing that it was going to be hard for you to overtake one. But number two, sort of right on the bumper. So I was quite happy to just kind of crack the throttle a little bit and let him pull back up to me. That being said, if we were both running flat out, I don't think it was a huge gap like that. He was plenty quick. It's just it's a lot harder to get up behind somebody.
Well, as they say, keep your friends close and your enemies close. And I wouldn't say Skirley's an enemy, but he's definitely a rival. So everybody kind of gets stripped of that one, mate. Well done. That was an absolute stellar drive. You controlled the race so well all night long. Obviously, stick around because there's obviously next week to look forward to, sponsors to thank, and all that sort of stuff. But no, congratulations on the win once again, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks very much.
Skirley, mate, I'll bring you in right now, and I believe that the photo on the Discord actually explains it all. Your eyes just light up like a Christmas tree and says, how the hell did Ed Foster get away so damn quick from me? Mate, well done on second place tonight. It's some incredible racing by you yourself. The big dives down and running the low line, rubbering it up. Mate, just couldn't get that pit strategy to work under green.
Yeah, well, first off, let's not let what you said then go without addressing that. I don't think my eyes were saying that, mate, at all. But I'll tell you right now, Edward did a good job leading the race and controlling it. And I was, due to the fact that I was behind him the whole time there, I didn't have to worry about fuel. So I was more just staying there because you can't do nothing. You can try go to the inside, which I did do early, and I was making moves on some people, but it's hard to make moves on one guy up front who hasn't got another car in the way and got fresh air, and try and get underneath and clear. Unless you do a super dive bomb, it's real hard. And he's a veteran, mate. He knows how to sort of drive that car enough to where the inside car can't clear. So and then if you don't clear, then the guy behind gets a run on you, and then you drop a position or two. So I was sort of waiting for a position time where I could try and get under him right near the end. I did try, and I turned, I don't know what happened. I turned too late, and I went across the seams on the track, and the thing just kicked out sideways on me, and I almost lost it. So after that, I was like, no, I can't do nothing really. I'll just stay here now.
Mate, at least you still drove a stellar race all night long. I mean, took the lead for a while. Had some great battles. Obviously, sitting in the slipstream of Foster there for a good period of 30, 40 odd laps there. how much fuel did that actually bring back into your tank? Obviously holding into that slipstream, because we got word from a viewer that fuel was going to be a main issue, and that's turned to a big talking point for us. How much did you actually was able to get put back into your tank from having the slipstream?
Dave might be able to give you a better number
Nine
on that.
laps. 9 laps
yeah.
we had left.
Yeah, so I had about 7 or 8 laps left, where I knew that I was wondering whether Ed might have been concerned on fuel because he was out front the whole time, but we didn't think there would have been that much of a difference. So we thought he had more than that, but I could tell he was checking up and stuff like. But it wasn't bad because you have to check up early and let it roll through the corners anyway. So it's kind of safer to drive that way. I was happy to do that anyway.
Always, gentlemen, Carl with you was right on the numbers. We brought him up into the booth and got a bit of an insight to see, where you guys at the lead would be on fuel numbers, and he kind of picked it. He said they might have anywhere between 5 to 10 laps to go if they're fuel conserving and being behind the car and the lead car or a car in front of them. So it was almost bang on the numbers there. But mate, tires were a big one tonight. We saw a lot of guys take one side, two sides. For you, what were the tires doing for you? Because we know that they're hard to get up to temperature.
Yeah, well, if you were able to, I'd probably only take one tire on the front, maybe the front left tire. But because you can't choose, I just take 4 every time, mate.
Good stuff, mate. Look, obviously, sponsor thanks, everything to come by. So, congratulations on the P2, mate. But over to Dave Douglas, ladies and gentlemen, who is our P3 sitter tonight. Mate, a well-fought race. You were up there at the start. You were in for a little bit. Then Skelly came along. We had that many lead changes through the night. Give us a quick rundown of your race, mate.
Yeah, it was all right, I guess. Led some laps, some pit stops, passed some cars, let some cars pass. At the end of the day, it was more of just a one-line racetrack at the top there. Kansas always is. And, unless you get your moves done early, those early couple of laps, you can use the bottom. But once those tyres go away, even the slightest part, that inside becomes nothing. So, we obviously split the strategy there from Edward there. At one point, come down the pit road, took some tyres, just to change it up. That's why we were able to go longer into the race, deeper into the race than Edward. He stopped on lap 99, 100. And I don't know what we went to, but we just we ran the tank.
It was.
Yeah, so we ran the tank dry. And it was fine. It was good. Because, we got back to where we were, basically. I got ahead of where I was. But Edward just did a good job. But I think these tyres, I reckon once they get to 85%, they just neutralise. And you just become the same speed as everyone else, no matter what, sort of after that. So, got sort of towards Edward, got him in the relative, and that's where he stayed, 4 seconds something up the road. So, late caution, jumped in, but he just did a better job and was able to clear me when I was getting bloody loose and whatever else there, trying to catch the car, trying not to kill everyone.
Mate, we saw a few times where you did get loose coming out of corners. You did graze the wall out of turn 2, and that was a big talking point. Or a couple big talking points for tonight was you guys obviously still trying to learn the ropes of these cars with all the updates and that, but also turn 2, that looked like it was really, really tricky to get out of.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, mate. Once you got to get a handle on it, I sort of realise where the slip point is, and it's all a bit of fun after that. So there's some points that, I knew it was coming, just rode it out. Problem is when you panic, when it starts to slide, that's when you get the high sides and end up in the fence, like a few guys did early on. But as long as you don't panic on that little slide, mate, she's beautiful.
And obviously these safety car restarts we saw, or should I say pace car restarts? I've got to get the safety car terminology out of my head. The pace car restarts for you guys. Getting that initial jump off the line, and we saw yourself get a number of them. We saw Skelly get a couple, Foster get a couple. How important is it, especially coming into the dying moments of the race? How important is it to try and get that jump at the front of the field there?
Mate, it's everything really. If you're the leader, not only this track, but just to get that jump, you'll always get it, no matter what. The leader controls the pace. No one can react to the leader, so you'll always get that jump. So it's crucial, but more so at this track than others. But it's nothing. You're not doing anything different. You're not doing anything special. You're just accelerating. So that's all it is. It's just the reaction time.
obviously trying to be on the game as well, and trying to watch what the leader's doing and how his car's behaving, I guess, at the end of the day. So
That's it. I mean, you just got to react to it. So the guys behind, it's usually the car that sits third behind the leader gets a better start than the guy on the outside because it's harder to see on the inside. So they usually get a good jump too. So I don't know. I just struggled on those first couple of laps on cold tyres. I just could not really get it to grip up, I guess. But once after those 3-4 laps, man, she was on then.
We did hear it's hard to get these tyres back up to temp after a pace car restart. But looking forward onto the championship points now, ladies and gentlemen, if they're ready. The unofficial championship points as they sit right now. We saw how they were at the start of the night. Ed Foss was at the towards the top, and now he's tied for first with Stephen Williams.
Oh, Stephen had a shocker tonight too.
He did have a shocker tonight. He finished all the way down, and I believe it was 6. So I keep going down the field further. I think it was. Actually, can't even find him on my script on next to me. So, but Stephen Williams sitting in second position, tied for first. 158 points there with Ed Foster. Norman Clark with 154, ladies and gentlemen. Reuben Phelps, 147. Adam Malone, 142. Dave Douglas, 130 points in 6th. Greg Spencer in 7th. Tristan Koch in 8th. Brett Campbell in 9th. And an absolutely horrible race for Andrew Dyson. Sees himself in 10th position now with 116 points. Dyson retired early on in the race. He tried to come from the back, but couldn't get it done. Skirley sits down in 11th position with 104, Darren McKenzie with 99, Devon Stove, Wayne Van Bijon, Jamie Nankervis, Kobe Jordan, Stuart Patterson, Justin Allen, Aidan Schultz, after another horrible night for him. He's down the field there. And Scott McClintock rounding out your top 20 there, ladies and gentlemen. We'll let those scroll on through for you. We'll ask some questions. Dave, since you're unmuted yourself, and if you're still there,
hey, mate.
Look into next week, Watkins Glen. I believe it is. The Glen, I think we're at. A favourite of yours, mate?
Oh, nah, not really. No, I'm not really a fan of road racing with these things, mate. I'd rather take a bloody Miata, whatever they are, MX-5 out in the Glen. But yeah, well, I'll just show up and go around anyway. Just punt around like some other guys.
Mate, you can't turn left all the time. You've got to turn right at some point in a NASCAR, and no better place to do it than the Glen itself.
Oh, that's true, mate. That is true. The Glen is the best track to go to, I guess. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I haven't driven these things on the road course yet, so it should be interesting.
Let's get some practice in. Skirley, mate, over to you. Watkins Glen, a tricky track in a V8 supercar coming from myself. I've actually never attempted one in a NASCAR. Looking forward to it.
Oh, nah. No, I'm a bit like Dave. I mean, I do like it, and I used to be pretty decent at the road stuff in these NASCARs, but everyone else seems to pick their game up, and I've stayed the same, you know? So
I know that feeling.
I don't know what it is. I'm blame it on my steering wheel, all right? I blame it on that.
Give it the Daiso now.
Yeah, you've got some other drivers now that are a bit, you know, they're like next level, so...
Younger generations, as we like to call it.
Yeah, well, I'll be looking forward, hopefully having a good race with Edward. Me and Ed normally race pretty well now on the roads. But yeah, no, I love that track. I do love it, especially in other cars as well. But the NASCARs, that was my I-rating juicer, mate. You know what I mean? Drive around there during an official week and get that I-rating up, mate. But nowadays, I don't know. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it, though, just to see what the car's like.
Well, the pressure's on. Skirley said you guys have a good race around there. We're looking forward to having a flick around to the right-hand side of the track this time instead of just going left.
Yeah, definitely. I've done like when this car first came out, I had a bit of play with it on a couple of road courses. I actually really liked it. Some guys seem not to. Yeah, I actually really like the way the car drives on the road courses. Yeah, looking forward to it. We've got Watkins coming up, a couple of other road courses coming up in the leagues and stuff. So yeah, it's coming to that time of the year where we're doing a bit of right turning as well. So yeah, definitely.
Warm the macros up.
Oh yeah.
None of that stuff over here, boys. Maybe we should do an oval race going right hand down instead of left hand down. Who knows? It might spice things up just a little bit more.
Some of the blokes did tonight, didn't you see them?
They used
Definitely.
to, Australians used to do right-hand ovals, mate.
Well,
Underdome.
I'm a speedway racer, and I go right hand down and left hand down. So I know how
Oh,
you feel.
street
It's just
stocker, eh?
Red stock.
Nah, standard saloon actually.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, so not open diffs as well. None of this lock stuff. Nevertheless, boys, look, awesome racing tonight. Nevertheless, guys, get obviously some sponsors out of the way. We'll try and get out of you before 10:30 tonight. Zach Haven's not in the booth, so I'll actually let you guys have an early night for a change.
Beauty.
Dave, we'll start off with you, mate. Give us a plug on your sponsors and go for it, mate.
Oh, mate, I expect to see a like over at DD's Casting Couch, Matty, on Facebook, mate. Give us a like. Watch the streams, mate. Come and enjoy it. Apart from that, just shout out to Mark and the Weekend Warriors for all the work that he does, putting in some trophies here. I saw that have turned up or on order. It's nice and fancy, mate. So, yeah, just a big shout out to Mark and the team that he's got behind him.
Early, mate. Floor is all yours.
Yeah, disgraceful Dave didn't thank the BMX Bandits there, but I'll do it officially. Shout out to BMX Bandits. Shout out to Edward for winning, Avo for finishing and coming third, and everyone else for not killing me. And Marky and you boys for putting it on. JP Simshed Broadcasting. There was one other one, can't remember now.
Mum.
Hobbit.
Mum. Yeah, Stevie Hobbit. Legend. Yeah, that'll do.
Edward, mate, the winner of tonight, back to back. Give us a plug for your sponsor, mate.
What was back to back? I didn't.
back to back wins at Kansas.
Oh,
It was only the one.
No,
anyway.
you won the corresponding race last year, mate.
Oh, corresponding race last year. Sorry,
okay,
That's last
alright.
year's winner was Ed. Yeah.
Yeah, my memory doesn't go back 5 minutes, let alone that. So yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you've gone back to back in the same time a year ago. So give us a plug for your sponsor, mate.
all right. Well, shout out to a year ago. Past me, but yeah, AJD Group, Fully Floored, and yeah, you guys have put it on.
Stuff. Mark Johansson, mate, welcome to the booth for the second time tonight. We didn't bring you up at all throughout the night either. We saw that you were having a good run there down in, I believe it was 18th position you were in at one stage and plugging away there. You came back from quite a few laps down to come back on the lead lap, and then the boys were just too quick out the front. How was your night in the office, mate? And give us a bit of insight for you quickly.
Absolutely terrible, mate. I got mixed up in that first caution. I was able to pull the car up, and then someone behind me plowed me, and that ended up getting both rear end and front end damage. And yeah, that was basically night over from there. But at one point I did get it back up to the, I think it was the 8th position. So yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Good stuff, mate. At the end of the night, coming up through the fields, always a good thing, mate. Look, looking forward into what's coming up on the platforms of Sim Shed Broadcasting and also Weekend Warriors for the Australian for the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. And we come back, ladies and gentlemen, on Sim Shed Broadcasting, but on a different night. Monday and Tuesday. We've scrapped the Wednesday. We've moved the Super 2E series off onto the Monday night. So you get the entree and then the main meal, and then we call dessert the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship now. So the Super 2E series, the first round for 2022. You'll see myself and Dean Reddit lead that one off. And then on Tuesday night, the big guns. The Goodyear Autocare Warana Super Series. Zach Caban and myself will be for that one for round one for the 2022 season for those guys. And boy, are we looking forward to it. We've been itching at the bit to get back into the booth and watch some V8 Supercar action and call it. And we're finally getting on Monday and Tuesday night. And then obviously back on Saturday night at Watkins Glen for round 5. We're going left and right for the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship, ladies and gentlemen. Just missed that, sorry, JP. And also, big news for the RSRA as well. We are heading straight off to the brand new track on the iRacing platform. We are heading down under for our first round of the 2022 season, and that is at the new Winton Motor Raceway, and we'll be one of the first to go there live and bring you live pictures of what it's like to bring a V8 supercar around there for, I believe it's 52 or 54 laps around there, JP. So that's going to be an absolutely cracking race with some of the fastest, if not the fastest drivers in Australia and the world right now in a V8 supercar. So we are immensely looking forward to it. Mark Johansson, mate, I appreciate, obviously, letting me be up in here and call this broadcast with alongside JP and being a part of the team. It's been absolutely amazing. Obviously, give us a plug for some sponsors, mate. I've given them a couple plugs tonight, but let's hear it from your voice, mate, before we wrap things up and get into bed on a Saturday night. Give us a plug on your sponsors, mate, and also the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship sponsors, mate.
I'd just like to thank my personal sponsors, SimShed Broadcasting, Track Racer, and of course Custom Paints and Diecast. If you need a custom paint done for any type of car, head over to Jordan's Facebook, get in touch with him, and he'll fix you up really good. As for the series sponsor, thanks to License Me up there at Albury Wodonga, Track Racer, and our major sponsor, Custom Paints and Diecast, and of course we can't forget our main one that we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for JP and everyone at SimShed Broadcasting. So thanks very much for your support. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and do yourselves a favour, check out Monday night and then come back and check out Tuesday night. I can tell you there is going to be top racing at my local track.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely cracker, isn't it? It is your local track. I did forget to mention that, Mark. And if you could be there, if it was there in the real life, I know you'd be there on a Monday and Tuesday night. That's for sure. So, but no, we're looking forward to getting back into the V8 supercar stuff. But for the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, Edward Foster takes control of the race and wins the Honeybee 300 for round 4 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship at Kansas Speedway. I am Matt Davis, joined by JP and Mark Johansson in the commentary booth. The podium was here. They've checked out early. They want to get into bed, and so do we. We're going to let you go. Don't forget to tune in on Monday night for the RSRA Super 2 E-Series, Tuesday night for the Super Series, the main course, and then join us next week for the dessert on Saturday night as we head to Watkins Glen and watch these guys try and throw these cars not just left but right also. Thank you very much for joining us on a Saturday night, ladies and gentlemen. We look forward to seeing you very, very shortly. For the meantime, my name's Matt Davis. Good night.